What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Wednesday. We are making a turn on this work week. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk Studios this morning. Appreciate you hanging out, listening, tuning in wherever you're tuning in from. You got those radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available to stream up online at our website at sportstalk1051.com. You got the YouTube video stream also up and rolling. Download the Wisco Sports App. Tell your Alexa devices to say, yo, Alexa, play WAYY. But a very happy January 14th. What do we have on our docket for our Whiteboard Wednesday? We are going to talk some Bucks. Well, first off, we got to give tip of the cap Badgers game last night. Yeah, if you did get to tune in and watch that, you missed quite the ending from that game. Badgers making a second-half comeback, down double digits against, again, what we kept saying yesterday, a pesky Gopher team over in Minnesota. The Badgers obviously coming off of a huge emotional win against Michigan on the road, and they have to go to Minnesota. It was a little bit of a struggle there, but Wisconsin, let me set this stage here for you. Wisconsin having a 3-point lead with about 10 seconds left. Minnesota goes down. They tie it up with a 3 with under 5 seconds. Well, and then let's let the Big Ten Network finish it off here. Audio courtesy from the Big Ten Network, shall we? I mean, let's just play the clip.
With a chance. The 3 on the way. It goes! Tyson! Now Blackwell for the win!
John Blackwell with under 5 seconds left in the game last night hits the game-winning three-pointer, and the Badgers pick it up the 78-75 victory. So a heck of a game last night, an incredibly entertaining game last night. If you missed out on it, you missed a good one. So nice win, good win, solid win for Badger basketball last night. Marquette did fall last night, so St. John's taking care of business against them. Also, we've got, Bucks last night. Boo-Birds coming out in full force for the Bucks last night. And Giannis booing back. But it was an ugly, ugly, ugly game for the Bucks. No Anthony Edwards for the Timberwolves. No Rudy Gobert for the Timberwolves. Thinking, okay, Milwaukee's got Giannis out there. You better come away with a W at home. Nope. 139-106. Minnesota just setting the tone right away, up 18 after the first. And then outscoring them in the second quarter by 13. Milwaukee only 45 points at the half. Just a pathetic, putrid performance by the Bucks last night, dropping to 17-23 on the season, under 500 at home now, 9-10 at home. And Boo-Birds were coming out. Giannis booing back to the fans last night too. So this is something that Giannis kind of does on the road quite a bit. But as he said last night, it's not something that he's really experienced before. Audio courtesy from the Milwaukee Bucks.
And when you or your teammates or your team has gotten booed on the road, you've hit the fans with a thumbs down in those cities. Tonight you got booed at home. Yeah. You did the same thing. Just kind of, I can't even think of the times you've gotten booed at home.
Never been a part. Do I? Have I? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, no.
Just
something new for me.
Just what that like kind of?
It doesn't change. It's the same thing. Doesn't matter. I thrive through adversity. I thrive when people don't believe in me. Doesn't matter if I'm on the road, if I'm at home, if I'm on my family dinner, if I'm at the practice facility against my teammate. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, I've never been a part of something like that before. So it's something new for me.
We'll play a little bit more from Giannis coming up a little bit later on, but this is we'll go through some more of the comments and such, but this is an example of a team that I kind of question some of the what's going on in the locker room, the makeup of the squad and such, and I just it's to put it pretty generic. It ain't good. And you hear more comments. We're going to play more comments from Giannis last night and such. And it seems to be a little bit of a discord between him and, how he thinks what's going on with the team. And Doc Rivers saying last night they played with dead legs because of the West Coast trip that they were on. Giannis saying that's not an excuse. That shouldn't be an excuse. That he doesn't think it was dead legs for this ball club. So, yeah, not great. Not great right now for Milwaukee. So we'll throw that up there. We'll hit up that. We're going to talk a little green and gold. Still nothing on the Matt LaFleur potential extension talk. So I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking this a little bit, but I thought it was, I know Rob Demoski, our good friend Rob Demoski said, kind of by Wednesday we should know. Well, today is Wednesday. I don't know, is this, the longer it goes and we don't hear, is there potentially maybe something else brewing here? I don't know. But we got another opening now with Mike Tomlin stepping down as Steelers head coach. And then I feel like that's probably going to be the end of Aaron Rodgers' career. Because, I don't see him playing for another team and just for a 1 year stint. Maybe it could be completely wrong. Again, I don't want to try to get into the mind of one Aaron Charles Rodgers and try to figure out what the heck he's thinking. But I got to imagine he's probably not going to return to the Steelers if Mike Tomlin is not there. So, but man, you look at some of these coach openings now. Baltimore and Pittsburgh, two of the longest tenured coaches. Now those franchises both looking for coaches. And I wonder too, it's are they going to be competing maybe for the same ones? I mean, a lot of these teams are probably going to be competing for the same ones and such, but I mean, you're talking about Pittsburgh and Baltimore, two rivals, and now they're looking for, new head coaches and such. So it's very unique. You've got Atlanta, obviously, still looking. Everybody's still looking. After the first week of the playoffs, I don't think have a very good idea of where these teams are kind of looking at or who's the favorites and such. But, yeah, Steelers, Ravens, Cardinals, Dolphins, Browns, 3/4 of that AFC North looking for a head coach, Giants, Falcons, Titans, and the Raiders. So, is that 9 teams? 9 teams now. So, but could there potentially be more if Green Bay and LaFleur don't agree to an extension here? I don't know, but here's maybe overthinking it, but just from my perspective, my opinion, I want an announcement soon just to calm down the chatter and I don't know. I feel like if they get this thing done, announce it. If they're playing with some hardball and then that sort of thing, just move on. Maybe just move on. I don't know, but we'll keep you posted if anything does happen to transpire this morning. But speaking of green and gold, we're kind of continuing our offseason outlook and looking at the biggest improvements that Green Bay's got to do this offseason and taking a look at that. And yesterday we talked a little bit about special teams and looking at possibly I think a lot of Packers fans, well, the majority who voted in our poll, wants to see a change at the special teams coordinator spot. So today we're going to look at offensive coordinator. That was the second highest voted on post-Glassamere poll question from a couple days ago. So since it is Whiteboard Wednesday too, I've got 3 names that I wouldn't mind seeing become, if Green Bay does make a move at offensive coordinator and brings in an offensive coordinator that is going to call plays. I've got 3 names. 3 names, my top 3 on my whiteboard over here that we'll hit up a little bit later on this morning. So we got that. It is Wednesday, which means it is Am I Wrong? Come up with your sports statements, your sports opinions, your sports takes, and say, am I wrong? Am I wrong for thinking this? Am I wrong for saying this? Tell me I'm wrong. Send them on over. Best ones, we'll put up on the air and such. So that's your game plan for this morning. So without further ado, let's pitter-patter. Let's get at her, shall we? We'll kind of, open up things. We'll talk a little Bucks. We'll play some more clips from Giannis after that ugly loss last night against the Timberwolves. We'll talk some Badger hoops after that thrilling victory. And, of course, plenty of green and gold chat here this morning and whatever else you guys and gals throw out there. So we'll take our first break, and then we'll get things rocking and rolling here this morning. Stick around. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. When it's time to update the floors in your home, skip the big box stores and go local. Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire has been helping families across the Chippewa Valley find that perfect flooring for decades. From soft, comfortable carpet to luxury vinyl planks, laminate, and tile, Carpet City Flooring Center has options for every room, every style, and every budget. And you won't be rushed or pushed into something that you do not need. Their experienced team takes time to listen, answer your questions, and help you choose flooring that actually fits your lifestyle. Carpet City Flooring Center also offers professional installation from people who take pride in their work. That means your floors are done right the first time. No gimmicks, no pressure, just quality products, honest pricing, and friendly local service that you can trust. So whether you're updating one room or planning a full home remodel, start with a name that Eau Claire and the Chippewa Valley has relied on for years. That is Carpet City Flooring Center, locally owned, locally trusted. Okay, let's get things going here this morning, shall we? Let's open it up talking a little Bucks, just because of how bad last night's game was against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, that was pathetic. That was putrid, especially when the Timberwolves have no Anthony Edwards, no Rudy Gobert. I mean, Julius Randle, 29 points to lead the Timberwolves. Naz Reid had 19 points. Bones Highland coming off the bench, contributing 23 points for the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves shot, I mean, they were in fuego. Got to give them credit there from the three. Over 50%. It's pretty rare, but dang, 52% from three, 60% overall from the field. Without Anthony Edwards, too. This team shot 60% from the field, 52% from three. They only went to the line 12 times and were 58% from there. Bucks, meanwhile, I mean, kind of like league averages, 48% from the field, a little down. I mean, 36% from three. It's not awful, but they just could not stop the Timberwolves last night. They just couldn't get anything. Nothing. Giannis, 25 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. And then after that, it's like you're looking around a little bit. I know they didn't have Turner in this game, but your next leading scorer was Portis with 14. Rollins giving you 11. Kevin Porter Jr., 13. Your Coffee was the only guy coming off the bench to give you double-digit scoring, and that was 10. I mean, next to nothing. Nothing outside of Giannis. And the plus negatives, you want to know who had the highest? Thanasis in his 8 minutes. He had a +5. Just pathetic last night, and lots of frustration from the Bucks fans in attendance to where they were booing. And there was a play when, I mean, they were down by like, what is it, 30 or 70-something to 40-something. Giannis gets fouled. It was like an and one, and then, he's on the ground, and he's doing his 2 thumbs down booing to the crowd. But definitely something incredibly rare, something that Giannis himself said last night he hasn't experienced. Let's hear from Giannis about the booing.
And when you or your teammates or your team has gotten booed on the road, you've hit the fans with a thumbs down in those cities. Tonight you got booed at home. You did the same thing. Just kind of, I can't even think of the times you've gotten booed at home.
I've never been a part. Do I? Have I? I don't think so. I don't think so, no.
Just
something new for me.
Just what that like kind of?
It's changed. It's the same thing. Doesn't matter. I thrive through adversity. I thrive when people don't believe in me. Doesn't matter if I'm on the road, if I'm at home, if I'm on my family dinner, if I'm at the practice facility against my teammate. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, I've never been a part of something like that before. So it's something new for me. I like it though. I love it.
All right, so that's Giannis last night talking about the booing and such. So Giannis a little bit more talking about the how last night's game kind of transpired, how his thoughts and his feelings from last night's ugly loss to the Timberwolves.
How does this game sit with you? What do you take away from this night?
Say that again? How does it
sit with you? What have you been sort of processing?
Nothing. Obviously, you're frustrated. I think we didn't play hard. I think we didn't do the right things. We didn't play as a team. There's not much you can take away from this game. We didn't do nothing right. Like, there's nothing. You just gotta kind of forget about it. Take all the things that you didn't do well, try to improve on it, and then go to the next one. But again, at the end of the day, our effort was low, and you cannot have that. You cannot have that.
Effort is low. Not much you could take away from this game when you didn't do nothing right. We didn't play as a team. Giannis followed that up with that. Like, what did the Bucks have to do to get back to winning some dang ball games?
You're at the midway point of the season, essentially now. What's it going to take for y'all to get to the place where y'all customarily are at the end of the season?
Playing hard, playing it our way. Playing hard, playing it our way. Playing selfless basketball, which we don't. I don't know. I really don't know. But those three things are important. I know that they're important for you to win, but right now there's so many things that we can do better. But let's just start by can we just play harder? Can we just play that our way? Can we create advantage for the next player? Can we just play for our teammate, play for the team, play for ourselves? Let's start with that, and I think everything else will follow. Once you have the right attitude and you have effort behind your actions, things tend to go the right way. But if you don't have no effort, and it starts from me, not just my teammates. Usually, no matter what you do, it's not going to work.
Giannis saying they got to play harder, they got to play the right way, playing selfless basketball, which they don't. I mean, those are you got your best player, your leader saying, "Hey, you guys, we're not playing selfless. We're not." You kind of calling him out for not playing hard. It's what he's doing. So when Giannis, and this isn't the first time that Giannis has been saying this throughout this season. So why isn't that being heard, essentially? Why is it the same thing night in, night out? Giannis was asked that last night too.
Giannis, you shared that message a lot recently in post-game interviews. Why do you feel like the message isn't being heard?
I don't know. I really don't know. Young team. Maybe not. Maybe we are not connected as much as we should. Maybe my voice is just a broken record, and guys are just tired, and guys might tend to do what they want to do. I don't know, but as a leader, it doesn't matter. It's being a leader is the same thing as like being a dad. Like, you just got to keep on being available, being consistent with your words and your actions, over and over and over again. And one day you hope that the message is gonna go through. Like when I was 15 and my dad was telling me stuff, I didn't realize what he was talking about until I was like 21, 22, and then you look back and like, oh, that's what he meant. But we don't have 7 years. We halfway through the season. It's either now or never. So hopefully in the next couple of games we can turn things around, and if not, go home.
This just, I don't know what the rest of you kind of think. It just sounds like a defeated, frustrated, confused player right now. Like he's just lost. Doesn't know what to do anymore as the leader of this team. And there seems to be a little bit maybe of a discord here between Coach and Giannis, because last night, Doc Rivers, kind of, he was talking about the efforts with the game last night, and he used the excuse of the West Coast trip, the traveling, and some dead legs. This was Doc Rivers last night.
You've just kind of emphasized how much every game matters as you guys are trying to come back. Does that add extra to a kind of an effort like this, where you guys feel disappointment, or you
No,
feel frustrated about this?
I don't know what it adds. We this is a tough game. I'd love you guys to go on that trip and come back and have legs. We knew this coming into it, so I thought we could still pull it out. I thought we could figure out a way of winning the game, but we didn't do that.
So Doc is using the trip as dead legs and that sort of thing. No, Giannis said, you can't. I don't think it is dead legs. Dead legs cannot be the issue. How old is Mike Conley? And reporter said, he's 41. Giannis is like, oh, blank. I thought he was like, he's like, how old is Mike Conley? And the reporter told him he's like 37, 38. He's like, oh, blank. I thought he was like 41. He was moving faster than me. That cannot be an excuse. Cannot be an excuse. Dead legs cannot be an excuse. We have to be better. Doc did take accountability last night for the lack of success for the Bucks so far, saying bottom line is I have to do a better job with this group. I have to get them out of this hole, and I don't think it's on them. I think it's on me. So we're approaching that halfway mark, as it was noted. We're like one game away from exactly, at that halfway mark, and we're at a Bucks team that's 17-23 right now. And I know there's rumors running all over the place about, should they try to acquire a John Morant, a Zach LaVine, Grant from Portland, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Names being floated out there, but this is a team that they're drowning. And just listening to some of those comments from Giannis, it sounds like a defeated person right now. It sounds like a defeated leader. And I can't imagine some of the frustration that's going on. And if that message is getting stale, you just wonder. We talk about, a lot about locker rooms, and especially now with football, with these coaching changes and such. You've been hearing, rumors about, did John Harbaugh lose the locker room? Other coaches, what's the locker room like within Green Bay? You hear these players coming out in full force of support for Matt LaFleur, but you got Giannis now kind of coming out and essentially calling out his teammates and saying he doesn't know why his messaging isn't and working and such. So this is the vibe here that's like, whew. And at some point, you got to do something to change it, whether it's moving on from the head coach. Maybe it is making that trade to get somebody that may spark a little bit of enthusiasm, may spark a little bit of juice into this team. I don't know, but something's got to be done because there's just no excitement surrounding this team right now. There's nothing. There's no confidence. Everything is anything that you could think of that would be wrong with this ball team. It just seems like it's there. It's frustrating to watch as a fan. It's frustrating because, you in the back of your mind, you're thinking, okay, Giannis may not, as he said, he's not going to request a trade this year, but he can opt out. And right now, if you're Giannis, and if they stay status quo with this whole thing, what would make him want to stay at this point? Ugly loss last night. What wasn't ugly, though, it was an entertaining game, was the Badger basketball team. We'll take a quick break and kind of recap last night's epic victory on the road in Minnesota coming up after these quick words. Looking for quality used auto parts? Well, then look no further than ASAP Used Auto Parts and Conrad's Auto Salvage. From engines and transmissions to tires, batteries, and more, they've got the parts that you need. Friendly, knowledgeable staff make it super simple so that you can maybe, if you're working on like a hobby car, doing a little remodel or doing some of the repairs yourself, they can help you get back on the road quickly. From salvage to service, one name you can trust. That's ASAP Used Auto Parts and Conrad's Auto Salvage. Give them a call today, 715-875-4500. So last night's big night for college basketball. Marquette falling to St. John's on the road at 92-68. Marquette was just down 6 at the half, but St. John's exploding in the second half, outscoring them by 18 points. But it was the Badgers with the thrilling victory last night against the Golden Gophers of Minnesota at the Barn. Wisconsin making a comeback victory, originally down by 7 at the half, outscoring them by 10 in the second. Wisconsin had the lead by 3 after a missed free throw with just under 10 seconds left. But Tyson for the Gophers going down and hitting the straightaway 3 to tie it up at 75 with just under 5 seconds left to go. And instead of calling timeout, Blackwell takes the ball up the court, chucks up the 3, nails it. Wisconsin gets the victory, 78-75, to improve to 12-5 on the season. Carrington for Wisconsin coming off the bench, the former Minnesota player, making his presence known with 27 minutes of action, 21 points, all from beyond the arc. Dude was, again, in fuego, 7 of 12 from 3. Also helping out on the boards with 5 rebounds. You had Blackwell. It was kind of the perfect guy to hit that shot at the end, leading the cause, 27 points, including 5 of 7 from 3. So Blackwell, it was just, couple weeks ago, going through a little bit of a rough stretch. Then it felt like maybe he was turning the corner in the last half of that game against UCLA, the last half of the second half, where he scored, 11 straight? Then obviously Michigan, solid game. And then last night's with that game winner, but also leading the team in points with 27 points. But you got to, Carrington too, Braden Carrington coming off the bench, and he was getting booed quite a bit in that game last night too, because, former Minnesota guy. So, but using that maybe a little bit to fuel him too. So good to see him performing well. You had Janicki playing 18 minutes. Not a great stat. Yeah, I shouldn't say not a great stat line, because you look at him, 18 minutes, 0 for 1 from the field, only 1 rebound, 1 assist and such, but still affected the game in other ways too. So Nick Boyd, 31 minutes, just 11 points for him. Nolan Winter, 39 minutes, 12 points for the big man. So nice, a good win, a solid win. I know some people are going to be like, well, it's just Minnesota. They're going in that game 10-6. It's a pesky Minnesota team that has already wins against Iowa when they were ranked, Indiana when they were ranked, going over to the Barn, Wisconsin, coming off of a big road win, a big emotional road win against Michigan just a couple days before. This is a good win. This is a big win for Wisconsin against a quality opponent. And this is what we were kind of talking a little bit about yesterday too. How can this portion of the schedule for Wisconsin, can they stack some wins now? It's winnable games that Wisconsin is going to be favored in. Because when you flip the calendar to February, and now you only got about a month left of the regular season, you're going to have some tougher games. You're going to be at Indiana. You're going to be at Illinois. You're going to be home against Michigan State. Those are 3 games in a row. Those are going to be tough games. And then, of course, you've got Iowa mixed in there too, Purdue at the end of the season. But this is an opportunity, starting last night, to stack some wins. You got Rutgers coming up in a couple days. Penn State, USC, Minnesota in your place, Ohio State to finish off the month of January. And this is the type of games, too, that with these come from behinds and holding on to such, hopefully it kind of benefits and helps his team when we get to tournament time and such too. So, but Wisconsin 4-2 now in conference play, 6th in conference. Nebraska undefeated 6-0. Purdue undefeated 5-0. Michigan State's 5-1. Michigan's 4-1. Illinois 4-1, and then you have Wisconsin 4-2, just 2 games back from the top spot of Nebraska, which Nebraska right now undefeated, not only in conference play but on the season so far. 17-0. Purdue 15-1. And you look at Nebraska, I mean, they've gotten good wins against Michigan State, against Illinois. They dominated Wisconsin earlier on. And you want to talk about a team that right now they can stack some wins. They've got that opportunity. Northwestern coming up in a couple days, Washington, Minnesota. Should be a heck of a game at Michigan at the end of the month. Then they open up February with Illinois. And they've got Purdue coming up on the 10th, and they only play Purdue one time on February 10th. So that could be a big game when it comes to the conference standings for that. So, but elsewhere last night too, kind of a good night for college basketball. If you like some upsets, Michigan State taking care of business against Indiana, 81-60. Virginia taking down Louisville, 79-70. UConn escaping with a victory against Seton Hall, 69-64. Kansas taking down Iowa State to give the Cyclones their first loss of the season, 84-63. Iowa State going into that game ranked number 2 in the country. We mentioned Nebraska, top 10 team, taking care of business against Oregon, 90-55. So, but man, that Nebraska team, you talk about offense. Jeez. Ohio State was the one and Michigan State too, 58-56, so just escaping there. But they could put up points like they did against Wisconsin. 90 points again last night. All right, we'll take a quick break. We've got some football talk coming up here, don't you worry, too. I know we probably still got a lot of Packer stuff on our mind, but coming up here in a little bit as we continue our off-season look, kind of looking back at this season, looking at, okay, what are some of the big improvements that this team has to make? What are some of the biggest questions that they have to answer this offseason and such? And based off the poll that all of you voted, number 1 was special teams coordinator, which we talked about yesterday, but number 2 was offensive coordinator, and an offensive coordinator that would call plays. So who would that be? If maybe you want to see Adam Stenavich, who is the current offensive coordinator, take over play calling. Maybe you want to bring somebody else in. Maybe somebody who has experience calling plays. Whatever the case may be, I've got 3 names on my whiteboard right here. If you're watching the video stream, you've seen me hold the whiteboard, but it's backwards, so you can't see the 3 names I wrote on there. But I've got 3 names that if Green Bay were to look from the outside to bring in to call plays, my 3. We'll get to that coming up here in just a little bit. We'll take a quick break as we start to wrap up the first hour. We'll be back after these quick words. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine has been committed to the healthcare needs of patients in western Wisconsin since 1954. So you don't need to be living your life full of pain. Live your life. Start living your life pain-free. Whether you are maybe a local athlete, weekend warrior, or maybe you're not an athlete. It don't matter. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine can help you out. Just get started today by visiting cvosm.com. That's cvosm.com. So yesterday, the big news in the sports world, day after getting trounced from the postseason, the playoffs, Mike Tomlin stepping down as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, before any Packers fan is sitting there saying Green Bay should hire him, he is still under contract. Green Bay would have to send like draft picks to Pittsburgh for Mike Tomlin. Now, Mike Tomlin's already, he wants to take a year off. Think of the Sean Payton. This is exactly like Sean Payton. Probably goes maybe to television for a year or so. He'd still be under contract. And remember, the Broncos had to send some draft capital to the Saints for Sean Payton. So that would be similar here to Mike Tomlin. Now, the other part in this, too, is like Bill Cowher, that was kind of the thought, like he was going to take some time off, but then get back into coaching and such, and that never happened. So that may be the plan now, but maybe it doesn't. But before any Packers fan thinks about Green Bay trying to get Mike Tomlin, you factor that into it, too, which, again, remember, Green Bay doesn't have a first-round pick anyways. So, but just throwing that out there. So don't get your hopes up. All right? Don't get your hopes up. Never say never, but I'd put it at like a 0.001% chance at this point. So, but nonetheless, it makes this coaching or coach openings across the league even more intriguing when you factor in the Ravens are looking for a head coach. You got 7 other teams that are looking for head coaches. When you look at the Cardinals, the Dolphins, the Browns, who are also in that division, the Giants, the Falcons, the Titans, the Raiders. And the Steelers one is intriguing too, because they when they make their coach hirings, they do it with the mindset, hey, we're going to have you around maybe for a decade plus, right? I mean, they don't go through head coaches like a lot of these teams do. So you kind of wonder, okay, are they going to look for a younger coach, younger defensive coach based off their history, and kind of have the assumption or the plan that they're going to be around for a while? Does a Jeff Hafley make sense for that? I'd throw a really, really, really wild card out there. Maybe it's not that big of a wild card, but I'd throw this out there. Because, Mike Tomlin had 1 year of coordinating experience when he got hired by the Steelers. What about a guy like Jimmy Leonard? Younger guy in that. But I think Mike McCarthy would absolutely love this job. Being a Pittsburgh guy, going back home, I'm sure he would absolutely love this job. But I don't think Mike McCarthy would probably be a candidate. They may interview him and such, but if we go back on recent history and such, it seems like they're probably going to look for the younger guy and the guy that's probably going to hopefully be around for double-digit years and such. So, but all right, we'll talk some more football and that's coming up a little bit later on towards the top of the hour and such. So we'll hit that up. Also, don't forget, today is Am I Wrong? So send me your sports takes, statements. Am I wrong? Am I wrong for thinking this? Am I wrong for saying that? Am I wrong for believing that? Whatever it may be, best ones I'll read on the air, okay? So you can send those on over. We got that Shoe Doctors bullpen line up and rolling, 715-830-1912. You can also join in by hitting us up with a message on the YouTube stream if you want to comment over there too. So, also, if you did hear those comments a little bit earlier from Giannis, let me know what you think from that. We'll finish up last couple minutes here with Morgan. Good morning, Morgan.
Basic level knowledge, Casper.
I don't have any.
How good of a driver would you say you are?
I am fantastic.
Everyone says that. 1 to 10.
No tickets.
1 to 10 steering wheels.
No tickets. No accidents. Nothing.
Okay.
Knock on wood.
Now, would anybody that rides with you say the same?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you and your wife are driving somewhere, do you generally?
10's loaded way better than Veronica.
Okay. Now, but she would agree?
I don't know if she'd agree.
Oh, okay. There we go. Just as a matter of
she
fact.
She has plenty of tickets. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So if we're taking it out of the legal system, what makes you a good driver? Besides the fact that you I have no tickets either, but what makes you a particularly good driver?
But how often do you drive?
Every day.
Okay, but
here's the thing. I don't love driving.
Okay.
I would be one of those people that if we had a walkable, pedestrian-friendly city, I would probably do that. I don't love driving. I like riding. I don't mind being a passenger in vehicles. I would rather. I don't really enjoy driving. Now, are you the opposite? Is it a control thing? Do you have to drive?
No, I don't have to drive.
Okay. You know who has to drive?
Who?
15-year-olds who are chomping at the bit to get their license, like I happen to have in my house right now.
Yeah.
So I have a little refresher course. Take yourself back to driver's ed, Casper.
All right.
Your sweaty pit driving test. See if you could answer some of the basic rules of the road.
Probably not.
Okay. These are just some of the very easy kind of, this is what you need to know to get behind the wheel. If your vehicle starts to skid, what should you do? Because right now we're dealing with some black ice and stuff out there. What should you do? Little refresher.
Is it multiple choice or?
Just give me your answer, and it's A, B, C, or D. But
if I start to skid, put it neutral?
Steer.
Put your foot off the brake?
What direction of the skid do you steer into? Away or into?
Into.
Okay, you're right on that one. A red octagon sign means?
Stop.
Okay, good. Just check in. Give you an easy one there. Four-way stop. Who goes first?
Whoever has the right of way.
You guys can play on this game, too.
Yeah.
But who has the right of way at a four-way stop?
The person on your right.
The person who got there first.
Well, that's given.
Well,
I mean,
not when you're learning the rules of the road.
I thought you were saying okay, whoever kind of gets there first, it's the right of way.
Oh my gosh, Casper's got road rage. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
He's going to throw his coffee cup at me. What is the legal BAC for drivers under 21 in Wisconsin?
0.08.
Let me double check here.
You don't even have the answer?
Under 21. You have under 21 BAC.
What? Under 21 BAC?
Obviously
okay.
0.000.
You okay.
Somebody needs to brush up on their driver's rules.
All right. There we go. We don't have any time. Thanks, Morgan.
I'll bring them back next time.
All right, second hour kicking off right now on this Wednesday morning. Thanks for hanging out with us, no matter where you're at. Well, we do a little roll call. Where are you listening to us from? How are you listening to us? What are you doing right now? All right, hit me up with a text with that, okay? 715-830-1912. Quick reminder, too, because I think we're going to be getting some snow, it sounds like, here in the next couple days and such. Not saying it would lead to any cancellations or delays, but always be prepared. Always be ready for that because, as we know, weather here in Wisconsin can become unpredictable. So always make sure to check out our website for the latest school closings and delays. The WEAU 13 News, school closings and delays, brought to you by Hovland's and ServiceMaster. So those are right up on the homepage at our website. And while you're at our website, too, start thinking baseball. We've got bus trips courtesy of wiscotrips.com for the home opener Thursday, March 26th. All the details. And to get your tickets, just head to our website. You'll see the icon right there on the left-hand side, right at the top, or wiscotrips.com. Just make sure you select the Eau Claire package. So that's coming up here. Think about it. March 26th, opening day. Pitchers and catchers reporting in less than a month. Oh, yeah, baseball season, baby. So we've got it is a Wednesday. Tell me I'm wrong. Eli, I can't tell you you're wrong. Eli saying, am I wrong for wanting us to let Dobbs walk, to let Matthew Golden have full access to wide receiver one? I would say this, though, that Christian Watson's wide receiver one. But, yeah, I think part of this is great. You know, Dobbs has been a great safety net, made some great plays for the Packers and Jordan Love. There's no question about it. But you drafted Matthew Golden in the first round. You got to let him get some more snaps, and you got to throw him out there. So I just think, you know, with the cap space, with what Dobbs is probably going to get on the open market and such, you got Tucker Kraft coming back. You roll with Watson, Jaden Reed, Golden as your top three. Dontavian Wicks is going to be mixed in there with the four, along with Tucker Kraft at wide receiver. Yeah, so I can't tell you you're wrong, Eli, to say let Romeo Dobbs walk and let Matthew Golden get more opportunities and such. So Mike from Chippewa Falls chiming in for the first time, it looks like. First-time texter. All right, I like it. Mike says he's driving to work. Keep those coming. Roll call. What are you doing? Where are you from? Where are you going? All that good stuff. Give me a name, too, if you want. So thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. Shout out, Mike. All right, it is a Whiteboard Wednesday. So yesterday we kind of kicked off a little series. Now that's, unfortunately, we are into the offseason for the Pack, but kind of taking a look, doing a little self-scouting and such. And we put up a poll question, our post-class Amir 715 Speaks poll question on the Sports Talk 105.1 Facebook page. And we had asked a couple days ago, outside of the head coach, if you take that off the table, what is the next biggest need if you think, you know, kind of phrase that wrong, but if you think head coach is the biggest upgrade, change, need, however you want to phrase that, take that option off. What would be the next one? Over 60% of you said special teams coordinator. So we talked a little bit about that yesterday. The second highest voted or picked one was bringing in an offensive coordinator that will call plays. And I would not be opposed to that. I would not be opposed. I do think that would benefit Matt LaFleur. And obviously some coaches have success doing it. Kyle Shanahan has success doing it. Mike McDonald over in Seattle as a defense guy is having success doing that. Obviously Ben Johnson's having some success with it on the offensive side with Chicago. So there are coaches. Sean McVay has success doing it. But I think LaFleur this is just my opinion, and again, this is from the outside looking in. I feel like maybe he would benefit from just kind of taking a break from that, taking a step back from that. And so if that's the case, I've got 3 names here on my whiteboard. Okay, if you're watching a video stream, it's not turned around right now. But I got 3 names that if Green Bay was going to bring somebody from the outside and not hand it over to Adam Stenavich, but bring somebody from the outside to be the play caller, offensive coordinator for the Packers, I've got 3 names here. So number 1, I'm going Mike McDaniel. That's the obvious choice. He is going to be a guy that a ton of teams are going to want. Philly now has an opening. He's interviewing with Detroit. Now, Mike McDaniel is also still interviewing for head coaching jobs, so it doesn't necessarily mean that he is going to be an offensive coordinator this year. He could still get a head coaching job. Washington, I'm sure, would be, open to talking. I mean, he is going to be a hot commodity for an offensive coordinator position. Him and Matt LaFleur are tight. They have coached together. They know each other well. They are very, very, very good friends. Obviously, they would work incredibly well together. And I feel like if Matt LaFleur were to give up play calling, he would want to do it to somebody that he would trust, that he would hand over those play calling duties to. And I think Mike McDaniel would be that guy. That he'd be that guy. That is number 1. It would cost a lot, though, too, to bring him in. And that goes back to the conversation we were having last week or so, is how willing is Green Bay in paying their assistants? If they want to be the best, they're going to have to open up that pocketbook. And honestly, Mike McDaniel coming over to Green Bay, if he wanted to be a head coach again, that would be the one downfall. He has success with his offense. He might be one and done, gone elsewhere, right? But I don't think Green Bay can think that way. Sure, I'm sure they would probably like a long-term solution there, but you got a window right now, you got to win. If it's not Mike McDaniel, I got a couple other names here. So Clay Kubiak. Kubiak, that name, you've probably heard it a lot in the NFL, right? Kubiak's last name. Well, his brother right now is the offensive coordinator with Seattle, and he's getting some head coaching interviews. He is the son of Gary Kubiak, Denver Broncos head coach, Houston Texans head coach, LaFleur. I mean, the Shanahans and the Kubiaks, they're kind of almost of the same tree. Now, Clay Kubiak is currently the offensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. So, yes, NFL rules say can't necessarily jump from one job to the other. However, if Green Bay were to offer him play calling duties, that could work. That could work. Similar to what Matt LaFleur did when he was with the Rams, offensive coordinator, wanted to get some play calling, went to the Titans for 1 year, and then became the Packers head coach. Obviously, you'd have a lot of similarities, right? You'd have a lot of similarities to these offenses. But you got a guy that has been in this position as an offensive coordinator. You bring him in as a play caller, and you're probably going to be running a lot of the same systems. So, my third one. Now, this one would be a little bit unknown. Then, I mean, if you kind of follow the NFL, he's actually getting some head coaching interviews, but he's incredibly young. He's like 35 years old. Now, Clay Kubiak is 37, so he's still young too. But Nate Schilhaas, he is currently with the Rams. He is their passing game coordinator. As I mentioned, just turning 35, youngster. He was with the Rams last year as an offensive assistant and passing game specialist. He spent 1 year at Iowa State as their offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. So this one would be a little bit of a wild card. There's no question about it. You know, youngster and such, but working 2 years under Sean McVay, again, would be a similar system. And this is a guy that his stock seems to be rising big time. And the fact that he's getting some head coach consideration interviews and such, maybe that would be worth a look for one Matt LaFleur. But these are the 3 names I've got right now. If Matt LaFleur were to look from the outside in to bring in an offensive coordinator. Mike McDaniel, Clay Kubiak, Nate Scheelhaus. And there's other ones that we could probably throw out there too. But I tried to go, with names that would be similar systems or within the same system, so it's not completely overhauling it. Because if Matt LaFleur does decide to do that, if Matt LaFleur is still going to be the head coach, I should say that. But if he does decide to do that, it's going to be somebody that would run a same system that Green Bay already runs. Or incredibly similar, maybe a little bit of a different thing here or there. So those are my picks. I know a couple of you earlier when we threw this out there said that you wanted Mike McDaniel. I think that would be a home run hire, but it's going to be a lot of competition. I think he's the ball's kind of in his court. He wants to be a head coach still. He's going on some of those interviews. That he can't really control, but if he doesn't get a head coaching job, I think he's going to have the pick of the litter for a lot of these offensive coordinator positions that are currently out there. So, kind of see how it all plays out here. But you've got 9 openings right now as for head coach in the NFL, with the Pittsburgh one opening up. Think about this. For a lot of you, probably listening in your 20s, you've maybe only known Mike Tomlin as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. 19 years. 19 years. Does that instantly move up to the top opening across the NFL? Is it Baltimore? Is it the Giants? I'm really curious to see how Pittsburgh they need a quarterback. And they got to figure this quarterback situation out. But do they keep with the same mindset of we're going to go and maybe look at younger defensive-minded coaches? And how does this change maybe some of the other teams' processes of getting their coach? Like Baltimore is like, oh, crap, now our main rival's looking for a coach. We got to make sure we come away with the best one out there. I think that puts a little bit more pressure on them. And maybe making sure that they get their guy right away. So I'm really fascinated with this. I was fascinated with it beforehand, but now with Pittsburgh into the mixture, it's going to be really good. All right, we got to take a quick break, but we'll have more football talk coming up throughout the morning. Stick around. We'll be back after these few words. When your vehicle needs a service, you want a shop that you could trust, and that's AJM Automotive in Eau Claire. From routine maintenance to more involved repairs, AJM Automotive delivers honest work, clear communication, and quality service that you can count on. Their experienced technicians take the time to explain what your vehicle needs so that there are no surprises, just reliable results. Whether it's brakes, whether it's tires, maybe diagnostics or general auto repair, AJM Automotive keeps you safely on the road and back behind the wheel with confidence. For dependable auto care done right, choose AJM Automotive in Eau Claire, where your vehicle is treated like it matters. And don't forget, too, with some forecasted snow coming up here, if it does get a little slick out there, AJM Automotive does provide towing services as well and snow plowing services. So give them a call today, 715-835-9523. That's 715-835-9523. AJM Automotive, located on 1919 Brackett Avenue here in Eau Claire. So we'll talk some more green and gold here in just a moment. A few of you chiming in on the Giannis clips that we were playing a little bit earlier. Ben says, sounds like a defeated man. I don't think he wants to be in Milwaukee, but he is putting up a good fight and being a good soldier and just trying to get through until he can opt out. Dave also says it sounds like Giannis sure wants out of Milwaukee, but he won't ask for that trade. I don't know. I kind of get, listening to those clips too. He definitely sounds like an incredibly defeated person, a guy who's really confused on what's going on with the ball club right now. Just kind of lost. Maybe like a loss for words and such. So, yeah, I'm really curious to see how these next couple weeks go leading up to the trade deadline at the beginning of February. I know there's a lot of rumors surrounding whether the Bucks are going to, make moves to add around Giannis. Ja Morant is a big one, and I know a lot of you in our latest post-glass and mirror 715 Speaks poll question. I mean, 90% of you saying no to Ja Morant, which I'm probably in that same wheelhouse with you. But yeah, Bucks right now 1.5 games out from that final wild card spot. So you can 1.5 back from Chicago. So time's not out. They're approaching the halfway mark right now at this point. They're 1.5 games out, but something's got to change. I don't even think I don't want to be at that point with a Bucks team that's led by Giannis where we're just happy to get in the postseason like it was in the early 2000s. Hey, we're getting the 8th seed. We're back in the postseason. No. Bigger fish to fry. Bigger stuff to take care of. So keep those thoughts coming. You can continue to hit us up, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or you can chime in on the video stream as well. That'll works out. So we'll get back to some of those comments about the clips from Giannis here in a little bit. A couple more texts quick about the Badgers. Was at the Badger game last night. What an intense environment. It was awesome. Blackwell's shot was unreal. So we were chatting a little bit about that in the first hour too. Nice win, big win for Wisconsin coming off the big road victory against Michigan just this past weekend. So we'll switch gears here and such and chat green and gold here for a few minutes. Joe DeGuano is joining us. So Joe, I guess I'll start off by asking you the main question at hand. In your opinion, in your thoughts, should Matt LaFleur be back with the Packers next year?
100% yes. And Captain, I got to tell you, you and I have had these conversations this year and some previous years as well. And I think Matt LaFleur is a good coach. I think he's still in a little bit from an inexperienced standpoint. I think there's some inexperience there, but I think he's a good football coach. I think the problem with this football team is not Matt LaFleur. I think the problem is more of some of the positional coaches. And I think some great stuff is coming out as far as years of experience of the position coaches that are in the playoffs. And Green Bay is dead last as far as total years of experience. So one of the reasons I think Green Bay has a hard time making in-game adjustments is not necessarily on Matt LaFleur. I think it's on those positional coaches. So I think Matt LaFleur stays. I definitely think, though, there needs to be some changes on this coaching staff.
What would be the big change, the biggest change you would like to see from a coordinator or position coach standpoint?
It's interesting, Dan, because Green Bay's philosophy, when they have an opening on the staff, is to promote from within. And you look at the domino effect when Adam Stenavich took over as offensive coordinator, leaving Luke Butkus as the number one offensive line coach. And the offensive line for the Green Bay Packers has regressed. I believe TFF had them ranked, I think, 24th this year as far as pass blocking. That is the lowest ranking this offensive line has had, or the offensive line of the Green Bay Packers has had over the last 10, 12 years. So I think that's one of the changes you need to make. The other thing, when you look at the film and you look at the secondary, a lot of lapses in zone coverage. And Hafley likes to play zone coverage, but your players aren't where they're supposed to be. So I think you need to make some changes in the secondary as well. And you look at where has there been a positional group that's gotten better under these position coaches? And it's hard to find that. So I say you got to make a change on the offensive line. I think you got to make a change in the secondary. And I think it's a foregone conclusion. You have to make some changes with your special teams. And so those are just a few areas. But I think, again, Matt LaFleur coming back, I think he needs to make some tough calls with some of his people on staff.
Would you be opposed if they changed offensive coordinators and brought somebody maybe from the outside that would take over play calling duties?
LaFleur's not going to do that. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but LaFleur's not going to do that. I'd be shocked. I mean, this goes back to Mike Holmgren. This goes back to Mike McCarthy. Heck, this even goes back to Mike Sherman. And so I just don't see Matt LaFleur giving up the play calling duties. That being said, would I be opposed to it? Absolutely not. You and I have talked, too, over the years. I'm not a fan of a head coach who's also the offensive play caller. I think you need to be so in tune with the holistic approach of the game that you lose that when you're calling plays because you're not thinking about situational types of game planning. You're not thinking about, okay, if we got a punt here, what kind of defense are we going to be in? I'm going to talk to my DC. You're still thinking about, okay, if we get the first down, what's my next set of offensive plays? So again, I'm not a big fan of that, and I wouldn't be opposed to it. As far as making that change, I don't see Matt LaFleur doing it.
One question I kind of pondered and such, and because I was listening to Matt Nagy a couple days ago kind of talk about his first experience as a head coach, and his name's being brought up in this cycle, and he was going over some of the critiques that I think it was some of his players from Chicago had, and one of them was that he didn't delegate that well, and he completely agreed with it and said that that's something he's going to do a better job of if he gets another opportunity and such. And part of me wondered, is this a situation with Matt LaFleur? Because I look at the coaching staff. He's got an offensive coordinator. He's got Luke Getsy as a senior assistant. He's got a pass game specialist in Connor Lewis. He's got a passing game coordinator in Jason Vrabel. And Nathaniel Hackett has been helping out in other areas too. Yet it's LaFleur who's looking at the tablet on the sidelines, when it's a change of possession. He's calling the plays. Is he getting overwhelmed at times, do you think?
Well, I think, overwhelmed because he's not delegating. Because, and again, is he not delegating because he doesn't trust these coaches because they don't have the in-game experience? So, again, I think it goes back to, and you and I talked about this when Matt LaFleur was hired. Not a lot of experience, so he's going to have to hire an experienced staff. He did not do that. And so, again, I don't know if he's overwhelmed, but I think he has a hard time delegating. And I think that could be because, well, this guy doesn't have experience in this, or I'm the most experienced guy that can do this. And so I think any guy who's at the top, any person who's at the top of the food chain, whether it be a company whether it be a business, whether it be a sports team, whatever the case may be. I think that's the biggest lesson you can learn is delegate when appropriate. And so overwhelmed, not sure about that, having a hard time delegating. And also, again, can he lean on these guys? I think that's one of the reasons why he's kept Rich Bisaccia. I don't think it's because Rich Bisaccia is a great special teams coach. I think because he loves having him there as an ear that he can have conversations with. So again, it's a real interesting and Captain, I will tell you, I have watched a lot of plays from this game. And I think Matt LaFleur schemed a lot of guys open. I think the reason the Green Bay Packers lost this football game was player execution and not the game plan. Because I think, again, when I looked at some of the breakdowns on the offensive line, Rasheed Walker had a horrible game. Anthony Belton had a horrible game. And there were guys open. It just, Jordan Love didn't have the time. So again, I think there needs to be some fundamental changes with position groups and coaching. And again, if Hafley gets a job, I don't want to see a promotion from within. Mm-hmm. You know, I want them to go outside the building. Sometimes you've got too many of these promotions from within, it becomes incestuous. And I say this to clients all the time when I'm working with them. It's hard to read the label when you're on the inside of the bottle. And I think Green Bay needs an outside perspective with some of the positional coaches and maybe a coordinator.
You know, a lot of fans kind of talking about the culture of this team and such, and that's maybe one of the reasons why they feel like LaFleur should move on in that. But then you hear Micah Parsons, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Xavier McKinney, Tucker Kraft, you know, these guys that we would assume are leaders on this team, saying nothing but praises when it comes to Matt LaFleur. Now, I know some fans are going to be like, well, what are they supposed to say? Well, then I look at, you know, like Baltimore and Lamar Jackson and kind of just dodging the question about John Harbaugh and such. How much should we as fans take what these players are saying about their respect and admiration for Matt LaFleur when we talk about should this team switch coaches or not?
You know, it's interesting because I think every football team at every level has what I will call your good cops and your bad cops. And I'll go back to the Green Bay teams of the 90s. And, you know, you had obviously Mike Holmgren, who probably the biggest control freak out there and didn't want to delegate. But you had a guy like Fritz Shermer on that staff. And you had some positional coaches that I'm going to say it have a little piss and vinegar in them. And so, you know, I think Green Bay needs to bring, you know, not only players that have a little bit more of an attitude, but I think coaches that have a little bit more of an attitude. Look, I think the hiring of Kevin Green back with the Super Bowl run of 2010, I think that he was such an integral part of that coaching staff. And I think, again, when Matt LaFleur is looking at it, when you talk about the culture and you talk about those things, I think Matt LaFleur is what I would term, and I'm not at 1265, but I would term a player's coach. I would term it, it's a guy who will work with you. It's a guy who will listen to you. It's a guy who will respond to you. But I think you need a guy on that staff that's going to ride some butts. And I don't know if Green Bay has that. I mean, again, a perfect example, and we've seen it this year with Rashawn Gary, and everyone has seen the highlights of him taking the foot off the gas on plays, where it's a pursuit, and you see him basically stop running. And, you know, where's that coach to say that no longer can happen? You no longer are going to see the field. And again, Rashawn Gary, as the season wore on, averaged about 40% of the snaps. So he wasn't seeing the field. But the bottom line is I think there needs to be repercussions. There needs to be accountability. And I think that's where Matt LaFleur needs to look very, very hard at some of his coaches and say, where can we pull this out? So again, I think there's going to be at least 3 or 4 coaching changes on this staff, and it's not going to be Matt LaFleur.
One other name too. I throw in there. I mean, how much of a loss maybe was it Anthony Campanelli from last year? He's now
absolutely,
with, you know,
absolutely. Mm-hmm. And again, you look at Edgerrin Cooper last year, and don't get me wrong. I think if Edgerrin Cooper doesn't get hurt Saturday night, I think Green Bay wins that football game. I think he was playing that kind of game, but this year has not been a good year for Coop. And could that be because of Campanelli not being there? Could that be because of that positional coaching change? Maybe. That's where the growth comes in. I think growth with young players comes in from positional coaches. And I think that's such an underlooked part of football. And when you break down the coaching staff, and again, when, everyone talks about the coaching tree, how many guys from this staff went on to be head coaches? How many guys from this staff went on to be head coaches? And, you really can't say in the 7 years, yes, Nathaniel Hackett had a chance, but you really can't say that Matt LaFleur is growing coaches right now. And I think that's a big part of being a head coach, is hiring guys who could be better than you someday. And I think that's true no matter, again, going back to business or sports. You need to be confident in yourself to be able to hire and train and coach people that may be better than you someday, and that's okay. But again, I think Matt LaFleur is the right man for this job. I think his development with Jordan Love is obvious. I think the one thing, if anybody says Jordan Love is the problem or not the answer, looking at it that way, played a heck of a game. I mean, again, Jaden Reed catches that on that final drive. That's 1st and 10 at about the 15 with 50 seconds to go and one timeout. I think they win that football game. And Jordan Love put it right where it had to be. So again, the development of the quarterback, the culture, I think Matt LaFleur is doing a good job. I think he needs help to get there, to get to that next level.
That's where, I'm in the same boat with you, and I know now some people, when Schefter came out Monday and said, Packers and LaFleur are going to work towards an extension, and people have started to play with the words, and now that nothing's been official, everybody's like, oh, what's going on? Is Green Bay trying to, lowball him so that he will just leave and then Green Bay saves face? And I'm like, that to me is an extreme, because that just makes no sense with if you just want to move on from the guy, move on from the guy. You know what I mean? What do you have to save face with this whole thing? So now everybody's wondering, why is it maybe not an oust, or why isn't it taking so long? Or is that something that's crossed your mind, or is it, what, I still got confidence that this thing's going to get done?
The mind game scenario that you're saying that they're going to lowball him, hoping he quits so they can save face. I'm sorry. If the Green Bay Packers organization has that kind of time to waste,
right? Yeah,
that's a time waster, and that's again, I keep on drawing corollaries between sports and business, because if companies have time to, we're just going to play it this way and let this ride out and play the long game. Companies don't have time to do that. Teams don't have time to do that. So you got a lot of different dynamics going on right now. You got Goody's contract also. You have a lot of speculation that is Ed Policy going to put the head coach back under the GM. So you've got a lot of different dominoes right now. Just because they announced on Sunday that they're working towards a new contract, I don't know if anybody's been involved in a negotiation, but usually it takes a couple of rounds. So I think usually the team or the company is going to come in probably a little bit lower, and the person's going to want a little bit more. That's why arbitration in Major League Baseball is what it is. So, yeah, there's a lot of different elements that need to go into this. And I think this deal gets done, and I think Goody's deal gets done, I would say within the next probably, I'm going to give it a month. I'm not going to say by the Super Bowl, but by mid-February, these deals are done, and there's some clarity moving forward for this organization.
Yeah, I think probably the longer this goes without a, quote, public announcement probably should answer that question, right? I mean, that inadvertently kind of answers that question. So, go ahead.
I laugh at some of the speculation, Dan. It's just funny out there. But it is what it is, and especially today with social media, you're going to get this kind of, armchair quarterbacking, Monday morning quarterbacking, speculatory types of things. It's just going to happen. It is what it is.
Right. Yeah. No, I totally agree. Hey, two-parter before we let you go. One, do you think Halfley is going to leave? Two, is there somebody from the outside, I know Raheem Morris's name is out there, that you would kind of like to see come over to Green Bay? And then let me ask you this part too. Going back to that Chicago game, 25 points in the fourth quarter. Does that defense and does Halfley deserve some of the criticism from that Saturday night game?
I'll start with your last question first. Absolutely, 100%. And again, you look at, though, some of the mistakes the players made, and is it Halfley or the positional coaches? But the bottom line is that defensive coaching staff needs to take some blame for that, 100%. There's no question in my mind. Raheem Morris makes a lot of sense. bringing a guy in, and then obviously there's some ties with LaFleur, so I think that makes a lot of sense, and so that wouldn't have an issue with that at all. And the Hafley question, I don't know. He's the odds-on favorite in Miami, and obviously with Sullivan being over there now, there are some ties and some logical conclusions you can make and assumptions you can make. I don't know. Micah Parsons said, "Oh, he's going to be back," and happily smiled and all this kind of stuff. And so who knows? And really, if the guy wants to be a head coach, he probably is going to have that opportunity. If he feels he has unfinished business, which again, I think coaches do feel that. I think that's a real thing before they leave and go climb the next mountain. So I would say right now I'm 50-50 on whether Hafley actually leaves or not. And then again, I think going back to your point on the fourth quarter, if Hafley stays, I think there needs to be some changes made on that defensive coaching staff. And I think, some maybe some schematic types of things to look at. But yeah, I think Hafley's a very, very good DC. I don't know if he's got what it takes to be the head coach of an NFL team. We'll see. But again, I would put it at 50-50 if Hafley stays.
Best job available right now out of the 9? Is it Pittsburgh? Is it Baltimore? Is it Giants? If you were a coach and you had your pick of the litter, which one would attract you the most?
I'd probably say Baltimore. I think, Miami, you have some pieces, but I think you have a big question mark with Tua. Pittsburgh, you have some pieces, but you have a big question mark with AR8 with Pittsburgh. And so, yeah, I think I'd say Baltimore because if I was looking to move on, the first thing I'm going to look at is what does my quarterback situation look like? And I know Lamar Jackson had some injuries this year and, there were some issues and et cetera, et cetera. But, two-time NFL MVP and still young enough to have sustainable years moving forward. So, yeah, I'd say that one. You've got a lot of pieces there. And I think that's the kind of thing, how many holes do you have on this football team? And it starts and ends with the quarterback position. And I would definitely say Baltimore when I start looking at the landscape.
He's Joe DeGuano joining us this morning, chatting some football. We appreciate the time as always, sir. Enjoy the rest of the week, and we'll catch up with you next week, and maybe we'll have some coaching stuff to be talking about more next week.
All right, Dan. Have a good one, brother.
You got it. There you go. There's, again, Joe DeGuano joining us here this morning. We got to take a quick break, catch up on some things, and, well, we'll be right back after these quick words. Skip the cooking tonight at Stop by Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Their ready-to-eat section is packed with fresh, delicious options from chef-prepared meals and salads to sandwiches, wraps, and hot sides. It's fast, it's convenient, and it's perfect for lunch, dinner, or even a quick snack on the go. Grab exactly what you want, when you want it, and enjoy a meal that is ready in minutes. Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, fresh, flavorful, and ready to eat. We will have to take another break here before the top of the hour. Just playing a little catch up here and such. Mark says, a few things here from Mark. Not a big follower of the NBA, but I think the main issue with the Bucks is obvious. The Bucks went in the tank the day they brought in Doc Rivers and have remained there. You know, I don't know if it's because they're already paying fired coaches salaries. I believe, don't quote me, but I believe Budenholzer's off the payroll. They're still paying Adrian Griffin, but you know, Adrian Griffin was fired halfway through the season when they were still in first place. Yeah, we could tell there was something a little off. But given what we have seen in the last year now of Rivers, any other coach probably would have been let go. Are they like afraid to let him go? Are they just not wanting to pay a ransom salary again? But yeah, I think a lot of it is, I'm sorry, but it's on the coaching side of things. So Mark also says not sure that Matt LaFleur should give up play calling, but most accounts he is generally pretty good at it. My sense is maybe needs stronger, more experienced voices in the booth than Steno. So, you know, one name I'll throw out there if we look at like secondary coaches and such like that, Joe Wood Jr., long time Packers assistant coach from 2008 to 2018. Charles Woodson spoke glowingly of Joe Wood Jr. when Charles Woodson was with Green Bay. He just got let go as defensive coordinator by Washington a little bit ago, or I should say a couple weeks ago. Could that be an option just because of his career? And the guy is still young. He's 47. Think about that. He was with Green Bay in 2008, and he's only 47. That's a year older than Jeff Hafley right now. So maybe I'm just throwing out. I'm trying to think of some other like experienced position coaches. I love James Catman, the longtime former offensive line coach. He is with Green Bay right now, but he's like a scout. I don't know if he'd get back into coaching and such. But now we're just like bringing the band back together from the Mike McCarthy era for position coaches. So don't know if those would be any options. Just throwing some names out there, seeing if anything sticks. So, and I was just kind of curious. Joe Wood Jr. did overlap 1 year with Raheem Morris. If Jeff Hafley leaves and Raheem Morris is like a defensive coordinator hire for the Packers. So, but we'll talk some more green and gold in the final couple hours here. Also, we got more Bucks chat and we've got Badger chat. Don't forget to send me your "Am I wrong?" statements. Am I wrong for thinking this? Am I wrong for saying that? All right. Send those on over. Roll call 2. Where are you listening to us from? What are you doing right now? Where are you at? All right. Send on over. Come on. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. All right. Final break for this hour. Then it's already halftime. We'll be back here in just a couple minutes. Looking for a great place to grab a bite, enjoy a cold drink, and maybe catch some live entertainment, some live music? You need to check out the VFW Post 305 in Eau Claire. From classic comfort food and weekly specials to affordable drinks and a welcoming atmosphere, it's the local spot that everyone feels at home. Add in those live bands and some fun entertainment and events throughout the year, and you've got a go-to destination for a fun night out. Whether you're stopping in for dinner, meeting friends, or enjoying that music, VFW Post 305 delivers every single time. VFW Post 305, good eats, good drinks, and great entertainment right here in the Chippewa Valley. Just a couple minutes left to the top of the hour. Then we're at halftime here this morning. So you could continue to join in on the convo, 715-830-1912. Can text us as well at the same number. The YouTube video stream also out there. So we'll get back to some more football talk. Definitely some more hoops talk here with the Bucks getting trounced by an Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert-less Timberwolves last night. Embarrassing. Bucks fans even booing at home. So Badgers, though, they got that thrilling victory against the Gophers last night at the Barn. Marquette falling to St. John's as well. So plenty of hoops chat coming up locally wise, too, for college basketball. We've got the Blue Golds. They're going to be in action. It's Wednesday night WIAC action, right? That's kind of one of your nights, Wednesdays, Saturdays, and such. But the basketball teams will be taking on River Falls. The men's team is going to be at River Falls. Women's team will be home against River Falls. And then Stout is going to be taking on Stevens Point. So for some college basketball action from the local colleges. So continue to send me your Am I Wrongs? Am I wrong about this? Am I wrong for saying that, for thinking that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Send those on over. And best ones, I'll read on air, and those roll calls. Come on, tell me where you're listening from, all right? How are you listening? Radios, online, app, websites, whatever the case may be. All right, do a little fun. Let's have a little fun with this, a little roll call. Maybe you're in your vehicle, maybe you're driving and such. So send those on over. Hit me up with a text on those, okay? 715-830-1912. 715-830-1912. Or, yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, chime in on the YouTube stream. That makes it easy. That's the easy one, right? So I will do my Am I Wrong coming up just past the top of the hour. So I'll hit mine up, get that out of the way. Yeah, it's kind of going back and forth between a couple of them, but I think I've finally settled on one. So, but yeah, well, I'll hit mine up, see what you guys and gals have to say out there. Do that, but curious to get anybody else's response. Maybe like Packers related or coaching related and such. So, still nothing officially official yet, at least publicly acknowledged, with LaFleur and contract statuses and such. So if anything does happen in the next couple hours while we're on the air, we'll definitely let you know. All right, shot clock cuts me off right now. Halftime. 2 in, 2 more to go. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back after these few words. All right, halftime is over with. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning. Appreciate it. Whether you're listening on the radio dials, got a couple of them, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available to stream online at sportstalk1051.com. You got the app, the Wisco Sports App. Download that. Take it on the go. Tell your Alexa devices, say, yo, Alexa, play WAYY. Video stream is also up and rolling on YouTube if you want to join in on that way, too. So we're going to get back to some more hoops talk with the Bucks getting shellacked last night by the Timberwolves, and Timberwolves didn't even have Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert. Bucks fans booing their team at home. Giannis booing them back. Oh, boy. Badgers, though, picking up a nice victory last night on the road. Last second game-winning shot as time expired for the Badgers. Can't even say this is March, but it felt like a March Madness game last night between the Gophers and the Badgers. So it is also a Am I Wrong Wednesday. So if you've got your sports opinions, if you've got your sports takes where you would say, am I wrong? You know, everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got a sports take or a sports opinion. So if you got one, send it on over and say, am I wrong for thinking this? Sports related, okay? Am I wrong? Am I wrong for believing that Green Bay should do this or the Bucks should do that? It's kind of where mine's at right now with the Bucks. Am I wrong for thinking this ship is sinking pretty darn quick for the Bucks right now? When we go back to some of those comments, you know, from Giannis after last night's game, kind of to paraphrase everything, he said, I don't know why nobody's listening to me. I don't know why my message isn't getting across. I don't know why we're, you know, playing selfish basketball. I don't know why we're not playing hard at basketball. Things ain't clicking right now. And we're one game away from being right at the 50% mark. I mean, the ship, I think, was probably sinking a little bit earlier, but I think that hole right now has gotten bigger, and that water is filling up faster and faster. And it stinks, and it sucks. So am I wrong for thinking that it's coming down faster and faster after every single game, after every single week? And I know Giannis said, like, and this is the other part of my am I wrong, but am I wrong for thinking if that maybe Giannis wants to go back on his word and say I would never ask for a trade? Like, I don't know Giannis. I don't know him personally. I feel like he is very loyal. I think that's been proven. That's been shown a lot. He is very loyal, and he will never be that type of person to go out there and demand a trade or demand this and that from that side of things. But, man, he just looks like sounds like a defeated person, sounds like somebody who wants out. Like, he almost sounds miserable. He almost sounds kind of miserable with everything going on. And I guess I don't blame him either, because he's playing on a team right now that is outside the playoff chase. 1.5 games back. There's time to make up for it, but to just be from that 7 to 10 range in the postseason is just kind of yucky to kind of keep it clean. When you look at the standings across the Eastern Conference in the NBA, if they were to try to get to that 6th spot, which is currently where the Orlando Magic are, it's not completely out of the realm. They're about 5 games behind that. Orlando's 22-18. And you got Milwaukee at 17-23. I mean, Cleveland's only 3 games above 500 as well. Again, that ship's sinking and sinking and sinking. So, I'm waiting for some. That's the thing too. Is like, I know the majority of us aren't really on the Ja Morant trade rumor, buying into that. I almost feel like we had one texter say, Jake says, I'm not for it, but at this point getting somewhere to where maybe you got to try something. Are the Bucks at that point? It may not be the greatest fit from what we see, but do they got to try something? Do they got to try to do something here to light a spark, to get something going. I still don't think it's Ja Morant. I still don't think that's the case, but hindsight being 2020, should the Bucks have kept Adrian Griffin? If we go back to last year, were they too quick to let him go? What is he doing these days now? Is he doing anything? I don't think so. I don't think he's just probably collecting a paycheck, and why wouldn't you with the Bucks paying him in that? But what if? Did they completely blow it on the coaching thing? Did John Horst, did the Bucks ownership group, and whoever made those decisions, did they completely blow it with their coaching decisions? Is that the biggest issue? Bloomer Tony, listening through the app while I stay productive working for the construction service provider of the Green Bay Packers. You are not wrong. The Bucks are sinking fast, and a coaching change feels inevitable. Doc was hired for name recognition, not results, and Giannis's prime is playing for it. You go back to that hiring circle. I don't know if they had a chance. What were some of the names? Nick Nurse was out there, right? So Nick Nurse was a possibility. I think that was the one that a lot of Bucks fans wanted. Atkinson. Was it Kenny Atkinson? Was a possibility as well. I think they blew it. I get it, hindsight being 2020, but look at the results right now, for crying out loud. It's frustrating. And it's hard too for the NBA, because you can sit here. It's harder than the NFL. Because if you want a new coach in the NFL, or your team's looking for a new coach, we can look at former coaches or coordinators, and they get a little bit more name recognition than maybe some of the assistants in the NBA. We know some of the former coaches, and there's a lot of retreads when it comes to the NBA and such. And I know that doesn't usually garner a lot of excitement in that. So it is a little bit harder. So I don't really want to say okay, well, who should the Bucks try to go after that's available? That one's tougher to try to figure out than NFL. It's that coordinator, this, that, the other. But kind of, I don't know, do you look at the teams that are at the top right now and try to get an assistant from there? But then do you want to go with a first-timer again? And it's confusing. So keep your thoughts coming, 715-830-1912. Really quick Badger note, too. Badgers, obviously, we've been talking about them with their win last night. They improved to 12-5 on the season. They're 2 games back from first place in the Big Ten Conference. Is loaded Big Ten Conference. And when we look at their upcoming schedule here for Wisconsin, I think there's an opportunity, and we kind of touched on it a little bit yesterday, but after that win last night, I think now you just got to keep to steal a quote from Matt LaFleur, they got to keep their foot on the gas here. They can't let up. You got to get a win against Rutgers. Rutgers is 2-4, 9-8 overall. That's coming up on the 17th. On the 22nd, you're going up against Penn State, winless in conference play. Okay, you got to take care of business there. You got USC. Okay, USC right now 3-3 in conference play, 14-3 overall. When you look at USC and you look at, who have they beaten? Because that's going to be the question, right? They got trounced by Michigan by 30. They lost by 29 to Michigan State. And then they've got Purdue coming up on the 17th. When you look at their wins, not a lot of marquee wins on there. That should be a win for Wisconsin. You got Minnesota again. Then you got Ohio State. Ohio State's 3-3, 11-5 overall. Ohio State has close losses against Illinois, against Nebraska, against North Carolina. They could be a pesky team too. But this is a chance for Wisconsin to stack some of these wins before, I think, I don't know if I want to say crucial stretch, but an important stretch of games coming up when the calendar flips to February, because they open up with Indiana. Then you got Illinois, at Indiana, Michigan State, and then Ohio State again. So, I mean, really, that 31st, January 31st, Ohio State at home, on the road at Indiana, on the road at Illinois, home against Michigan State, on the road against Ohio State, home against Iowa, from the 31st to the 22nd of February. That is a key stretch of games here for Wisconsin. If the goal at hand is to finish at the top of the conference or maybe in the first, few spots, so you get that double bye when it comes to conference play, but also adding more signature wins to your tournament resume. But going back to last night's game, John Blackwell, 27 points, obviously the game winner at the end. Dude has bounced back nicely after going through a rough stretch about a week and a half ago, a couple weeks ago. Kind of seemed like he turned the corner against that in that UCLA game. In the final half of that second half, was awesome against Michigan, and then awesome again last night. So hopefully that's the only rough stretch he has throughout the season, because we definitely need him going forward into the postseason too. So, all right, we'll take a quick break. Plenty more to get to, though. Stick around. We'll be back after these few words. When it comes to firearms for hunting, experience matters, and that's exactly what you will find at Tilden Gun. Locally owned and trusted by sportsmen across the Chippewa Valley, Tilden Gun offers a wide selection of hunting firearms, optics, and accessories for hunters and outdoor enthusiasts of all experience levels. Whether you're getting ready for deer season, maybe just looking for some expert advice, the knowledgeable staff at Tilden Gun takes the time to answer your questions and help you find exactly what you need without the pressure. Quality products, honest service, real experience, real expertise too. That's why generations of customers continue to choose Tilden Gun. You can check out their website, simple to navigate, simple to use, easy to use website, tildengun.com. You can stop by their shop as well. Address 12427 98th Avenue, Chippewa Falls. Again, that address, 12427 98th Avenue, Chippewa Falls. If you have not stopped by Tilden Gun before, it is a sweet, sweet setup over there. So go visit Sean and Hunter today. You may think, hey, hunting season's kind of closing up or starting to end here soon, and that's, this is the off season. This is like training camp. This is like, spring training for baseball, which we're going to get to fairly soon and such, believe it or not. I think less than a month from pitchers and catchers reporting in that. So getting some trades there. Nolan Arenado traded to the Diamondbacks. Obviously, we've got Bregman going to the Cubs. So doesn't sound like Tucker's going to be back. I think the latest rumor there was that the Mets offered him a contract worth $50 million annually. But Bregman going over to the Cubs, which I'm sure a lot of Brewers fans are like, oh boy, great. So still fairly quiet surrounding the Brewers, which I'm sure is just, maybe that's what's grinding your gears too. There was a rumor that maybe the Cubs trading Nico Horner. So, but we'll see if that's going to be the case. That would kind of, I think the Giants were potentially interested in adding him to that infield, and that would be a dynamic infield for the Giants when you factor in who they already have, Chapman and Willie Adames and such. So, but yeah, otherwise fairly quiet surrounding the Brewers and such. So. Been talking a lot of hoops here this morning. It was a border affair for both college and the pros, with Wisconsin getting that game-winning shot as time expired. Minnesota tied it up with just under 5 seconds left, and John Blackwell takes it down the court and hits the game-winning three. Not even close when it came to the Bucks and Timberwolves game. No Anthony Edwards, no Rudy Gobert, no problem for the T-Wolves as they dominated the Bucks on the Bucks home court. Bucks fans booing, Giannis booing back to the fans. So everything's going peachy right now, it feels like, with Giannis and the Bucks. And I know we played some of the clips earlier from Giannis's session with the media. If you haven't had a chance, you can look him up in that, but he looks like kind of a defeated person right now. It's not really the greatest thing when you have your best player going out there saying, I don't know why we're playing selfish basketball. I don't know why we're playing hard. I don't know why my words are not kind of resonating with my teammates and such. Not great when you want to hear that, or when you hear that stuff from one Giannis Antetokounmpo. So do you think he kind of regrets saying, I will never ask for a trade at this point?
I mean, it's probably like literally anyone at some point will make some statement about, like, no, I'm committed to blank. I'm never going to leave blank. And then something frustrates you a few days later, potentially, and you're like, God, no, I do want to leave. Well, that's also heat of the moment, probably. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Last night for the Bucks sucked. Yeah. Like you pointed out, against a lesser team. I mean, hey, the Wolves got to see what they have from Beringer last night and looked pretty decent. I was following John Krasinski from The Athletic, his posts, and said the locker room was, what was the phrase? It was like, that was a very confident locker room after the game. Mm-hmm. And the Wolves have had some shaky performances this year for a fairly good team. So that's disconcerting if you're the Bucks that you went against, that you got blown out by a team that was far from full strength. But there's plenty of talent on the Wolves, too. It's not like without Ant, they have no one. No. Like with the Bucks, you could make a pretty good case. If you're Giannis-less, that's way less of a team. But then you can also go, well, with Giannis, they don't seem to be performing that well. So what's the, I mean, is this, Doc, is this chemistry, is like, if you had to diagnose it?
Well, if we look at where it kind of all started, doesn't it come when Doc came aboard? Like, if you're a Bucks fan, do you regret them firing Adrian Griffin? I know we talked about that, but they were in, I think, first place, but we could tell there was something. But I mean, first place is
first place,
right? Exactly.
They're not there now. Now they're not in the playoffs,
right? So I mean, is there some regret going on there that they pulled the trigger too quick?
There's probably some. Now, Adrian Griffin was making some fairly boneheaded moves. Now, it was pretty early in his coaching tenure as well, really early. That might have shaken itself out. I guess if the whole point is to win another championship, the Bucks might have gotten bounced in the first round last year anyway. And maybe this year, if Griffin doesn't grow, they're in the same spot, have a similar record. So maybe it's coaching choices, which reflects poorly on Giannis Antetokounmpo because he wanted Adrian Griffin and pushed to have Doc Rivers. So, well, whose fault is that? Is that John Horst? Is it Giannis? It's a bit of both. I mean, there is not one person to blame, and everyone else is immune from blame in the Bucks organization. The phrase goes, there's plenty of blame to go around. And I think a fair amount goes on Giannis. I think a fair amount goes on Horst. I think Horst, I mean, heck, if you want to go back to when he came on board in the late 2010s, he hasn't had the greatest track record. He's not like...
Is the best move trading for Drew Holiday? That's his best decision and move?
It is. Yes. Yeah. Yes. And that worked. I mean, it's not the...
Because he did sign Bledsoe to an extension, which was bad. Luckily, he was able to move him as part of the Drew Holiday trade. The Dame one obviously didn't work out.
No. It was a bad one.
Yeah. So, I mean, you look at some of that stuff, and now I'm sure some people are questioning the Miles Turner move at this point.
And okay, now we also didn't have Miles Turner last night. Is the game anywhere closer than at some point 40-plus point deficit we had last night?
And you guys also shot over 50% from three.
That's the other thing for this game. How many times we see it all the time. Some meh to bad team will go on fire from three or two. Their field goal percentage was great.
Like 60, I think it was last night.
Yeah, so. There was another Krasinski post last night that he mentioned. This is in like the second quarter, I think. Said like they're shooting, I don't remember the percentage on twos, but it was really good. And it's like, why don't they shoot more twos? And then he listed the 3-point percentage. Like they were shooting crazy last night. So that occasionally will happen. A lesser team, either overall talent, so take like the Wizards or someone like that, or a really good team that's down their stars, last night's Timberwolves, can sometimes have a really good offensive game, and there's not a whole lot you can do about that. Realistically, the Wolves are going to beat them anyway, even if they weren't shooting crazy from 2 and 3. It was going to happen. And and we can litigate this one in particular game a whole lot. Like, and then if Turner's in it, maybe it gets closer. Maybe. The problem is the team, because again, our assessment at the beginning of the year is that they weren't going to be a number 1 seed. Best case scenario, maybe 3. Worst case, maybe a 10. They're probably going to be in the 6 to 7 range, I think is where we're kind of pegging them. And it's worse than this so far, unfortunately. It's a combination of Horst's moves, and maybe his moves this year have been okay, but it's because of other moves he made that's put them more in a deficit combined with the coaching choices, and I don't really know where you go short-term this year. So, yeah, last night was a bit of a nadir, I guess. And take out the border battle part of it, is it was border battle night. I don't know that the Bucks are that concerned about that. They're more concerned about they look bad. And they can't do much more of that, but I don't know where they go from here.
All right, so let's take a quick break here, reset a little bit. I want to bring up something that Adam Schefter said a little bit earlier this morning on Milwaukee Sports Radio, Gabe Chewy and such, about Matt LaFleur and the league-wide perspective of Matt LaFleur. I thought it was kind of an interesting comment and curious to get Packers fans' reaction from that. So quick break, and we'll be right back after these few words. We are in the game, if you're a Packers fan, the game that nobody in the world likes. It's called the waiting game. That should be a game. I think I just thought of something. The waiting game.
The waiting games.
What is going on with LaFleur contract? Is he going to be signed? Is he not? That sort of thing. Schefter, who was the one. Well, let's give credit to where credit's due first. Ian Rappaport was the first one on Saturday that said, regardless of the result of the game, the Packers and LaFleur were going to work on a contract extension. Then I think what happened in that game a lot of people thought, oh, would they still have that? Schefter, Monday morning, said Packers, LaFleur, essentially the same thing, would be working on an extension. It is now Wednesday. And I don't know if we're just kind of getting antsy, but you got these insiders coming out saying, and still nothing. So Schefter was on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, ESPN Milwaukee this morning, and kind of talk about saying, it's a negotiation. He said he kind of classifies up in the air right now, which, I mean, it's a negotiation. Mm-hmm. So, right, there's going to be some back and forth with this whole thing. But there was, I thought, a great question from Jen Latta, who you also see on college football on ESPN. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, she's Wisconsin, but, nationwide here too. She asked the question, what's the league-wide perspective on Matt LaFleur? Because we obviously know what a lot of fans think about Matt LaFleur and that. And Schefter's response, and I know Schefter, for some people, are kind of give or take a little bit.
Adam Schefter.
Yeah. But I think ultimately, though, too, he probably knows a lot of people around the league, right? He's
more than any of us.
Exactly. So he said the people that he have talked to are, just to kind of paraphrase, befuddled. Use the word befuddled.
That's only in journalism for those who know the reference there.
Befuddled that we're at the situation that we are at now, and he said that there are many across the league that view Matt LaFleur as a top 5 coach in the league. I don't know of many Packers fans that would say he is a top 5 coach, but again, are we biased? Are we because that's what we pay to? Mm-hmm. But how much should we look at that and say, top 5, really? You're an outsider, technically. I mean,
I'm not a Packers fan.
As a Packers fan,
not a homer. No,
I don't know if you'd put him top 5, but would you put him top 10? 15?
His power ranking fell for me because of this game, and as much as kind of arguing against focusing on one game. Granted, it was a January NBA game versus, a playoff game. Big difference in importance. But despite that, you had pretty poor play calls in the second half. That quickly became the consensus, and it was obvious. They were like, "Why are you what are you doing?" That was not good coaching in the second half. You can't do that at that level.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tie a thread. I think you can tie a thread back to the 2020 NFC Championship game and kicking a field goal late. We remember that. That was correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the first, wait a minute, Matt LaFleur moment. It was early enough that
it was the second year as head coach.
Yeah,
so.
I remember thinking at the time, that wasn't good, but come on, this is really early here. We don't have enough of a sample size. You're like, oh, fire Matt LaFleur. Okay, after that, I've seen a lot more of that. So he's way, way above, I'm sorry, my go-to, and I'm never going to be off this, Joe Judge territory. What's the gold standard for bad NFL coach? I mean, come on. Way, way, way better than that. And I think a lot of teams would want to have Matt LaFleur on board. Okay, I could not figure out if she was being snarky or serious. I don't know if you saw Mina Kimes' post, was either yesterday or the day before, said, hear me out, Steelers head coach Matt LaFleur. And I couldn't quite, again, with Mina, she's not snarky, but she's just dry enough at times. I'm like, is she joking or is she actually making a point here? Because it could be either one. Okay, on the surface, Would Matt LaFleur work as a Pittsburgh Steelers coach? Let's take it at face value. You think that would be a good fit?
I don't know who the quarterback is.
Yeah,
That's kind of the big issue.
bit of a problem. And let's presume that Aaron Rodgers is not going to return.
Although maybe that would let him return for 1 year.
Right.
And then they go get a quarterback to mold. I don't know.
And LaFleur, I know there was the whole thing, but it seemed to be resolved towards.
Well, Rodgers' comments Monday night,
right.
singing the praises of LaFleur.
Right.
So.
But again, you want that. Look, when Rodgers was decent this year, it's actually pretty good. That's the inherent talent of one of the best quarterbacks the NFL has seen. And I'm serious about that. He's one of the best. But also, you saw the age kick in as well. And everything else of his, he's so set in his ways that he's going to demand all of his guys and could Steelers LaFleur coaching do it. I don't know. But seeing that, and I don't think it was being facetious. That speaks to where I think what Schefter said. Across the league, I don't know that he's top 5. Because who would we call our best coaches right now in the NFL?
Probably Andy Reid's up there. Probably Sean McVay. Kyle Shanahan. A lot of people would have had a Harbaugh, but I mean, he got let go. Does that,
I
take
still
him
think
out?
he's probably one of the top ones, even with, because Baltimore's constantly been successful.
But successful enough?
Yeah.
I mean, because if you want to talk about some heartbreaking losses too, there's that.
The streak.
And then you had a 2-time MVP quarterback, but how many times have you won?
Right. I can't remember who it was online pointed out that he was saved like near the end of the 20-teens. I can't remember which quarterback came in, but like Harbaugh probably could have been gone around 2018 or so, the way the Ravens were trending. And especially getting Lamar helped a lot.
Didn't they trade up with Minnesota for that last? Or it might not have been Minnesota, but they trade up in the last pick of that
I
first
remember
round.
that night when that happened. Was it Minnesota? I don't remember, but I do remember what you're talking about, that draft. So I still think I like, who would you take? Now, again, it's going to be tougher for you because you're a Packers fan. But I think you tend to be more clear-eyed about this. Would you take LaFleur or Shanahan? Fantasy draft.
Shanahan.
Okay, LaFleur or Harbaugh?
LaFleur.
LaFleur or, no, I'm not going to say McVay because I think most people would take
McVay.
LaFleur or Payton?
Sean Payton?
Sean Payton.
LaFleur.
Okay, see, you're ranking him up there, and I want to stay away from a lot of the newer ones like Liam Cohen. Maybe he actually is better, but we don't have enough of a sample size there. Okay, but one I will say, LaFleur or Vrabel?
Vrabel.
Okay. LaFleur or O'Connell?
LaFleur.
LaFleur or everyone's favorite, Ben Johnson?
It's a year too early.
I know, I'm throwing that in there, but I mean, you're taking LaFleur over a lot of them so far. LaFleur over or Reed?
You got to go Reed.
Okay, but there's a track record there. And yeah, he has Patrick Mahomes, but he has a track record. LaFleur or Nagy?
LaFleur. You're not saying one that I'm waiting for you to say.
I intentionally said Nagy just because the mystery of this. Oh gosh, who is it? LaFleur or Tomlin?
LaFleur. That's the one I was thinking.
Okay.
Yeah,
and that's the other one with. I mean, Harbaugh and Tomlin are so linked. Longevity, success overall, a Super Bowl, but a Super Bowl a long time ago.
And what kind of just makes me at this point chuckle is the amount of Packers fans that want Tomlin. And the reason why they don't want LaFleur is because of playoff success. Tomlin has now lost 7 games in a row in the postseason. So you can't use that. You can't. I mean, we're sounding like Bears fans still talking about 85 when you talk about, well, he won a Super Bowl 10, 15 years ago.
Is Tomlin right now like Don Shula circa 1986, 87?
That might be a great example.
Now, I know they'd just been to a Super Bowl, like 2 Super Bowls in 3 years, not that long prior. But the Dolphins have not won a Super Bowl since the 1973 season.
Which is actually today is the anniversary of that. that Super Bowl win.
Okay, now wait, is this the undefeated one or the year after?
This is the undefeated one.
Okay, so then in the year after they won back-to-backs.
Oh, that's right. Yep,
but
yep.
okay, but
Yeah.
still, either way, that's the early 1970s to mid 70s. It's the first half of a decade that's a long time ago.
Here's a what if. What if Don Shula and the Dan Marino era was going on right now?
Oh boy.
With social media.
Oh boy.
Would Don Shula be getting raked over the coals because he's not winning with Dan Marino?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Now, I do think, and Shula held on through the 95 season. And it was, as I recall, it was a fairly amicable retirement. He was done. I think that was more Dolphins front office management. They didn't do a good job with that team after the first 3 years of Marino. 84 was incredible. 85, it probably should have gone to the Super Bowl, and the Patriots upset him to then go on to get demolished by the Bears. And after that, they were so-so. They were okay. They had that one AFC Championship game appearance in the 90s against the Bills. They were a kind of team. Not bad. But that was, I don't know how much of that was Shula. But Shula would get more flack solely because that's how we work nowadays. Like, how many people can name the Ravens general manager?
I can.
You can. There's a good number of us who can, but most people are going to go right to Harbaugh. How many people can name the Steelers GM?
Oh,
exactly.
I can.
Exactly.
Omar Khan.
Right. Newer guy.
Yeah.
Because who was the guy who was there for a long time? I know his name.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of proving the point. People will go.
Well, like even Baltimore, it was Ozzie Newsome
right.
for a long time.
But a lot of people will go right to the coach first. So that's the same thing with Shula. I can't tell you the Dolphins GM in the 80s off the top of my head. I might know it if I saw the name. You're going to go right to the coach. Kind of the same with Dallas. I mean, Tom Landry by the later 80s, and I know they had the title from the 77 season, but by 86, 87, it had been a while since you'd had a win. Now, LaFleur doesn't have any Super Bowl titles. But I think this was the Bill Barnwell story, was assessing the wild card round losers. And he said it would be an overreaction to get rid of Matt LaFleur. He keeps them competitive. He works with what he's got. There's a definite philosophy in Green Bay we've talked about forever, and it's largely still intact. They do more splashy moves of late, and I don't mean splashy in a negative sense. They do more stuff than just draft and develop with like one Charles Woodson exception here or there.
Yeah. Micah Parsons.
Right. But that's the thing. They do more of that now.
Right.
Gutekunst has done more.
Right. Okay, yeah, I see. Yeah.
But by and large, they still are emphasis on the young players. They didn't Barnwell say like they're always one of the youngest rosters in the league. That's how they operate. So what's LaFleur supposed to do with that if you're going to constantly be essentially coaching up players?
Well, and I saw this, was it Justin or Justice Massaquoi kind of, I'm wondering if there's something to this. He went through every playoff team and assistant coaches, years of experience. Dead last Green Bay for assistant coaches and years of experience. And as somebody noted, a draft and developed team, younger team, being coached by inexperienced position coaches.
Developing them as well.
Is there something to that?
Yeah. There's not a lot of experience. Yeah, it was like the one guy who's been around a long time. I mean, they're plenty smart folks. They have experience in other places too. But there is a lack of, I guess, institutional knowledge, and there's a fair amount of actual youth. And then when you have some of the more experienced guys that seem to not be quite working well, i.e. Rich Bisaccia.
You take that one away, there's probably that number goes way down. After that.
Bisaccia is one of the older ones. I guess you could point to that and go, yeah, we'll see. Do you really need older guys that have been around? I mean, Bisaccia has also a bit of gosh, is he one of the longer tenured assistants? That's not saying much. But
For Green Bay, probably.
Yeah. So I suppose that would be the counter to that. But overall, younger coaches, younger players are going to need more guidance. So if Matt LaFleur is the grizzled veteran of Packer people, at this point, not just player, but Packer
He
people.
was the oldest coach in the NFC playoffs this year.
Gosh,
46 years old. He was the oldest one.
he still looks like he's in his 30s.
I had to look it up. He is older than Kyle Shanahan by a couple months.
What?
Yeah.
He does that. I mean, and I guess even a 46-year-old head coach still seems young. Just LaFleur started really, really young. I think overall, Matt LaFleur is probably a top 10 quarterback. Coach. Like I said, he's fallen down my list because of what happened. When the stakes were pretty high, he made some moves that weren't the best. And there's more judgment on that than versus any regular game. But the caveat has to be, what did he have? And my biggest defense of Matt LaFleur, and I think most probably would be, your team got Micah Parsons, a season changer, and then he gets injured.
They were in first place.
Great. What are you supposed to do? I mean, if Jordan Love had gotten knocked out and Malik Willis had gotten knocked out, let's say they had to play week 18 to get in the playoffs, and both got injured for the playoffs. And then you had Clayton Tune going into Chicago. And otherwise they had looked, let's say they were like I'm coming up with a scenario here. Maybe they're like the 3 seed. They're hosting.
This would almost be like Arizona. Remember that one year where they were going through quarterbacks left and right, and they had to go into postseason with that?
Yeah. Well, and you don't have, so you're supposed to judge the coach at that point and go, see, you failed. Well, the guy who's evidently making the biggest difference to this team, I think, can we make the case Micah Parsons by position made a bigger difference to this Packers team than Jordan Love did? This season anyway. Yeah. Malik Willis sure helped with that, with making Parsons more valuable.
And that's not a knock on Jordan Love.
No, not at all. It's just the part, that's how good Micah Parsons was, that I think he was the most valuable player on.
I'd agree.
He's the MVP of the 2025 Packers. So you lose him, they're a different team. I know the Packer offensive choices were questionable in the second half, but you also couldn't clamp down Chicago. If Micah Parsons is playing, the Bears don't win. Well, by that same token, the Packers probably have a higher seed too, but they do better, and that's not LaFleur's fault.
All right, we got to take a really quick break before we wrap up the third hour. We'll be right back after these few words. Just a couple years left, couple minutes left maybe I only have less than 2 years left. Who knows? But couple minutes left to the top of the hour here. So, again, we'll keep you posted if anything does. What do you think ultimately happens? Do you think they're going to get that extension done? Yeah.
I would not be surprised either way. Like, I think 65-35 odds. So I would be surprised but not shocked if it doesn't work out.
Yeah. I'm the same way too. And I'm like, let's just get it done and move on and get it.
Yeah.
Just move on with this thing.
And if anyone's upset about it, well, let's go through another season. And hopefully you don't have your star player have a torn ACL. I know Parsons won't be back for a little bit, but still, let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's see what a fully talented Packers roster is like. You can't guarantee that. I mean, maybe this is the year Love gets injured and Willis is gone or something like that. But let's see.
You can't forecast that stuff, right?
No, of course not. I mean, and yeah, look what happened with the Lions this year. What if Caleb Williams gets injured next year? The Bears are looking like they're up and coming. That could stop. There's a lot of things that can happen. A lot of unknowns.
Right. Yeah. So I am actually kind of a little surprised, a little maybe kind of like on the other day when we were talking about this whole thing. The majority of texters, it was probably about 70-30, said 70 to bring LaFleur back.
Okay.
So I was a little surprised with that.
Even after all the anger of
I think they probably settled down and took a step back.
Yeah.
After that.
Probably so. It's understandable in the moment. I get that. But after a bit, so who's your other viable option right now this late in the process?
Right.
Unless you're getting Harbaugh.
But again, if the reason we're using is playoff success.
That too. And I know a lot of it was flukish stuff, like Mark Andrews drops a pass. Is that John? Okay,
you say flukish stuff. Is a missed kick by Anders Carlson flukish?
Exactly. I mean, is that LaFleur or is that Carlson? Right. Like there's a lot of reasons these things can happen that have nothing to do with the coach. So then you better be sure about your coach if you're going to make a determination based on someone making some boneheaded move somewhere here or there.
And I don't feel like he has lost the locker room from everything that the players have come out in the last couple of days.
The core thing to remember too. I mean, how well is he with the team? If you lose the locker room, I think that's a much bigger reason to get rid of a coach, even if they're doing well.
Yeah.
Because that's going to come back at some point real soon.
Exactly. All right, 3 in, 1 more to go. We got some news updates. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. All right, final hour kicking off right now on this Wednesday morning, the Making the Turn Wednesday. Appreciate you tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. We've got a couple of coaching stuff. Looks like John Harbaugh is going to make his first in-person interview today with the Giants of, well, New Jersey, but New York Giants. So that's the first one on the docket for him in person. So we'll see if the Giants let him out of the building. So if they really want him, we'll see. But that's the first one. Trying to see if that's kind of the one that's all over the place here. So keep you posted if anything else does happen to break while we're on the air for the next hour or so. We've been spending a lot of time talking some Bucks here this morning with the Bucks falling to the Minnesota Timberwolves last night. So I want to play some of the clips from Giannis. In case you missed it, we did it in the 6 o'clock hour. But I think kind of telling maybe the mindset that Giannis has right now. And I don't know. I'm going to play some of these, and then I want your thoughts on what you hear. Like, how does Giannis sound? Like, does he sound like a defeated guy? I mean, there's just some. He seems really sad. I don't know how else to describe it. So he was asked last night because Bucks fans were booing. Giannis ends up booing back to them, something he has done on the road, the 2 thumbs down, booing and such, but he's never had to do it at home. He was asked about it last night. Again, audio courtesy from the Milwaukee Bucks here.
And when you or your teammates or your team has gotten booed on the road, you've hit the fans with a thumbs down in those cities. Tonight you got booed at home. You did the same thing. Just kind of, I can't even think of the times you've gotten booed at home.
I've never been a part. Do I? Have I? I don't think so. I don't think so, no.
Just
something new for me.
Just what that like kind of?
It doesn't change. It's the same thing. Doesn't matter. I thrive through adversity. I thrive when people don't believe in me. Doesn't matter if I'm on the road, if I'm at home, if I'm on my family dinner, if I'm at the practice facility against my teammate. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, I've never been a part of something like that before. So it's something new for me.
So I mean, yeah, I can't think of another time that Bucks fans probably booed at home while Giannis has been on the team and such. Later on, asked about that game last night. Remember, no Anthony Edwards, no Rudy Gobert. A chance for the Bucks returning home from their West Coast trip to pick up. You would think would have been favored to win, and it was a credit to the Timberwolves. They were hot from three. They shot 50% from three. They shot 60% from the field. But how does a game like that last night kind of sit with Giannis? He was asked that.
How does this game sit with you? What do you take away from this night?
Say that again? How does
it sit with you? What have you been sort of processing?
Nothing. Obviously, you're frustrated. I think we didn't play hard. I think we didn't do the right things. We didn't play as a team. There's not much you can take away from this game. We didn't do nothing right. There's nothing. You just gotta kind of forget about it. Take all the things that you didn't do well, try to improve on it, and then go to the next one. But again, at the end of the day, our effort was low, and you cannot have that. You cannot have that.
Effort was low. We didn't do anything right. We didn't play as a team. I mean, kind of calling out everybody. Teammates, everything. Everything. And then later on, he was asked about, hey, what do you got to do to start racking up some wins?
You're at the midway point of the season, essentially now. What's it going to take for y'all to get to the place where y'all customarily are?
Playing harder, playing it our way. Playing hard, playing it our way. Playing selfless basketball, which we don't. I don't know. I really don't know. But those three things are important. I know that they're important for you to win, but right now there's so many things that we can do better. But let's just start by can we just play harder? Can we just play that our way? Can we create advantage for the next player? Can we just play for our teammate, play for the team, play for ourselves? Let's start with that, and I think everything else will follow. You know, once you have the right attitude and you have effort behind your actions, things tend to go the right way. But if you don't have no effort, and it starts from me, it doesn't, not just my teammates. Usually, no matter what you do, it's not going to work.
All right, so I mean, he's sitting there saying we play we don't play selfless basketball. We're not playing hard, playing the right way. We're not doing that. Again, calling out his teammates there. And this isn't the first time Giannis has said stuff like this. Hey, we got to do this. We got to do that. We're not doing a good job with this. So it's not the first time. So why hasn't that message been received from his teammates? Well, Giannis was asked that again last night too.
Giannis, you shared that message a lot recently in post-game interviews. Why do you feel like the message isn't being heard?
I don't know. I really don't know. Young team. Maybe not. Maybe we are not connected as much as we should. Maybe my voice is just a broken record, and guys are just tired, and guys might tend to do what they want to do. I don't know, but as a leader, it doesn't matter. It's being a leader is the same thing. It's like being a dad. Like, you just got to keep on being available, being consistent with your words and your actions, over and over and over again. And one day you hope that the message is going to go through. Like when I was 15 and my dad was telling me stuff, I didn't realize what he was talking about until I was like 21, 22. And then you look back and you're like, oh, that's what he meant. But we don't have 7 years. We halfway through the season. It's either now or never. So hopefully in the next couple of games we can turn things around. And if not, go home.
So to me, that was probably the most damning. Some of the comments there, asked about why is his voice maybe not getting heard, and saying, maybe we're not connected. Maybe my voice is a broken record. Maybe guys are tending to kind of do their own thing. I hear that, and I hear Giannis and such, and it's sounds like a defeated, dejected player. Later on, he was asked, this was from Lori Nickel, who works for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, and she had asked a follow-up question to the booing. And Giannis said, I was definitely booing back. When I get booed, I boo back. I've been doing that all season. You guys haven't been with me on the road. Whenever I get booed, I boo back. To which she said, but this is a home game. And he said, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. I play basketball for my teammates. I play basketball for myself and my family. When people don't believe me, I don't tend to be with them. I tend to be against them. I tend to do what I'm here to do, what I'm good at. I think I'm like a maverick. I've always been that way, so it won't change now. It doesn't matter if I'm at home or away. But yeah, I've never been a part of something like that before, and I don't think it's fair. I don't. But everybody has their opinion to do what they want to do. I'm not going to tell them what to do and how they should act when we don't play hard, or when we lose games, or when we're not where we're supposed to be. And I don't think anybody has the right to tell me what or how I should act on the basketball court after I've been here 13 years. And I'm basically the all-time leader in everything. Ship was already sinking a little bit. That hole is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we're approaching the halfway mark. One more game and they'll be exactly at 41 games played. And things are not trending in a better direction, even with Giannis back on the court. It's frustrating. It's disheartening, but that's what I and it's on video too if you want to watch the interviews. He just looks like a dejected, he's lost, confused, obviously down type of player right now. And I don't blame him. I mean, if he's sitting there and he's trying to do this and he's trying to do that, and it's just nothing is working. And he's not. We got to take him for what he said last week. He's not going to demand a trade. He's not going to ask for a trade. But he really looks like he's miserable, and he kind of sounds like he's miserable now too. So, all right, we'll take a quick break. We'll have more on this. Your thoughts on when you hear those comments from Giannis. Hit me up with your thoughts, all right? We'll take a quick break and be right back after these few words. So obviously the big news from yesterday, if we look at it from the sports world and such, was Mike Tomlin stepping down as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not fired, stepping down, which, again, means if a team did want to sign him, if he wanted to coach again this year, which from all reports out there, he's going to take a year off or such, maybe follow the Sean Payton type of role in that. But a team would have to send the Steelers, have to trade for him essentially, send some trade compensation in that. So it's not as simple as so-and-so should hire and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, but that definitely was the big one. We currently have 9 openings in the NFL world for head coaches. It is the Steelers. It is the Ravens, Cardinals, Dolphins, Browns. So 3/4 of the AFC North have coaching availabilities. Giants, Falcons, Titans, and Raiders. And just kind of perusing around the internet with some of the insiders, the know-it-alls and such, there may be a chance that the Giants don't let Harbaugh out of the building today. So maybe that's what they're hoping. They're trying to get in and such, but it could be we're the first team on the board with their new head coach. Could be the New York Giants with John Harbaugh. So, but I think it's a unique thing to look at it. Incredibly rare to have two franchises like Baltimore and Pittsburgh both have head coach openings at the same time. And I'm really curious because we could draw a lot of parallels maybe to like the identities of those teams, and I think both teams are in different spots here. Obviously, Baltimore, they've got their quarterback. They got that in place. Whereas Pittsburgh's got to figure out what they're going to be doing at the quarterback position. So it probably gives the edge a little bit to Baltimore that they, as of right now, have their quarterback in place. But when you look at it from a Pittsburgh perspective, and I was watching NFL Network yesterday afternoon when they were kind of talking about the Insider Show, and they were kind of talking about it and such. And that's the thing, too, where it makes it such an attractive job is the ownership, but the expectation, too, like, we're going to make this higher with the expectation, with the mindset that coach is going to be around for double-digit years. I mean, just look at it from, the Steel Curtain era to Cowher to Tomlin and such. They don't move on from coaches. They're not quick triggers. At least they haven't been. And those coaches really haven't given them a reason to, be quick triggers and such. So this is a big hire by the Steelers to maybe kind of keep that momentum, keep that, I guess, tradition kind of going on. And, Brian Flores is a name that a lot of people are throwing out there, but, you're kind of like, I'd be curious, does Pittsburgh still go with a young defensive-minded head coach like they did with Cowher, like they did with Tomlin and that? Do they kind of roll with that? Would they be intrigued about bringing in an offensive-minded head coach because they don't have a quarterback? So if maybe it's Will Howard they want to hand the reins to, assuming Aaron Rodgers is not coming back, would they try to bring in a offensive-minded younger head coach? Because that kind of has been the trend more times than not to bring in and maybe change it up a bit. I don't know. I'm really curious, maybe more so than any other team in this hiring cycle as of now, to see what the heck Pittsburgh is going to do with their head coach. That to me is really interesting. And obviously too with the Ravens and such, with those two teams now looking for a head coach, is it almost a battle between those two because neither one of them are going to get Harbaugh. It would be really funny if Pittsburgh did, but that's not going to be the case. So who's the next fish, if you will? Who's the next big fish on there? And is it going to be a battle between Pittsburgh and Baltimore to get that guy? Are they going to target the same type of coach? And is it going to be a battle between those two to see who they get? I think one guy that would absolutely love to be the new head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers is probably Mike McCarthy. Pittsburgh guy. Family's still there. Loves Pittsburgh. I think he would absolutely love to end his coaching career as being the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we're all just assuming and have the mindset that, okay, they're going to go with the younger route. But if Pittsburgh hired him, I think that would just be a dream come true for Mike McCarthy. And then think about the teams that he's coached. He'd be in such like rare company and probably the only one to go from the Packers to the Cowboys and to the Steelers. You're talking like 3 of the most iconic franchises of all time. And I don't know, like, if this isn't, I would be shocked if it were to happen. But like if Mike McCarthy, Pittsburgh's like, yeah, let's bring Mike McCarthy on for a few years. Would that be for Aaron Rodgers? Like, okay, I'll play one more year. Yeah. End it with Mike in Pittsburgh. I don't think that would happen. I'd put the odds of that being really low, but it's fun to think about a little bit. It's fun to think about. So, but man, I'm really curious to see the direction they go. I've got my predictions for coaches, but I'm going to save it for the podcast. So I've got my 9 head coach openings right now and my predictions of who the coaches are going to be. So I think I'll drop that later today before anything gets hired, so at least it's out there. See how many I get wrong at this point. So, all right. We got to take another break here coming up. We're going to switch gears and get back to some more hoops talk, though. We've got the Badger basketball team with an epic win last night against the Gophers. A highly entertaining game. What a fun game to watch. Back and forth. I know a couple of you have already chimed in saying you were at the game last night, so that's awesome. But we'll talk a little bit about that game. And I've got a couple of comments going back to Giannis's talks, too. So we'll get back to some hoops talk after this really quick break. Big night in college hoops last night across the board. You had Kansas upsetting number 2 Iowa State. The Cyclones, Kansas, coming away with an 84-63 victory to hand Iowa State their first loss. Number 3 UConn taking down number 25 Seton Hall in a close affair, 69-64. Houston taking care of business against West Virginia. Nebraska continuing their great start to the season, dominating Oregon. 90-55, the 8th-ranked Cornhuskers remaining undefeated. Michigan State also picking up a victory against Indiana last night. You had Virginia taking down Louisville in a 16-20 matchup. And then Marquette falling to St. John's 92-68. Marquette falling to 6-12 so far on the season. Not a great start for Marquette so far. And then, of course, the Badger-Gopher game last night. You go from the Badgers coming back from double digits deficit, having the lead, missing the free throw, 3 points up. Gophers, just to, 9.8 seconds left, about 10 seconds left. Go down, hit the 3 to tie it up. Barn is going nuts. It's going crazy. 4.8 seconds left. John Blackwell takes the ball up the court, hits the 3, walk-off victory, game winner, buzzer beater for the Badgers. That was a March Madness game in the middle of January. And I know some people are going to probably poo-poo on it because it's the Gophers. The Gophers are a solid opponent. They've got a couple of solid wins already, taking down Indiana and Iowa when they were ranked. I keep using the word to describe the Gophers, but they're like a pesky team. They're a pesky team. So it's a solid win coming off of a big road game, big road win for the Badgers against Michigan on Saturday. And John Blackwell seems to be out of his funk right now that he was in just a week and a half ago or so. Seems to be out of it. 27 points for him last night, including that game winner. Also, 5 of 7 from deep. 5 of 7 from 3. Now you look at the upcoming schedule for this Badger basketball team, and there's an opportunity to stack up some wins. You've got Rutgers coming up on the 17th. Badgers should win that one. You got Penn State. Badgers should win that one. USC right now 3-3 in conference play, 14-3 overall. Still say USC, being at the Kohl Center, should be a Badger win. Minnesota at home. I'd favor the Badgers. Ohio State. Right now, Ohio State 3-3, 11-5 overall. I'd pick Wisconsin in that one. At Indiana, I think could be a tough one. I know Indiana right now, they're not ranked anymore, 3-3, 12-5 overall in the conference, but being on the road, it could be a tough test. I'd probably still pick Wisconsin. But it's kind of started like the last day in January, that 31st, January 31st. You look at these games, Ohio State at home at the Kohl Center, at Indiana. Then you're on the road at 13th ranked Illinois, back at home a couple days later to take on 12th ranked Michigan State, and then on the road to Ohio State, back home against Iowa. From January 31st to February 22nd, I'm looking at that stretch of games as kind of an interesting stretch, a unique stretch here for Wisconsin to potentially climb up further into the Big Ten standings, add some more signature wins to their resume. Because after that, then they go to, you're talking about only 4 more regular season games to go. It's a quick trip to the West Coast against Oregon, Washington, then you're back home against Maryland, then you wrap it up with the road game to Purdue. But that stretch from the end of January, the last day of January, to February 22nd could go a long way in determining what the Big Ten Conference standings are going to be, what the Big Ten Conference tournament seedings will be. It's just, I think a unique stretch. And this is where I look at these upcoming games now as, I wouldn't term them as must wins, but I would say, you got to take advantage of this portion of the schedule and get those wins and grab those wins so that you're in a good spot when you get to a fairly difficult portion of the schedule. And watching that game last night, watching that game against Michigan, this is what, for Wisconsin to hopefully make a deep tournament run. We know they're going to rely on the three. We know they're going to rely on their guards, Nick Boyd, Blackwell, Nolan Winter also helping out the cause too. But then once in a while, you're going to have a guy that is probably going to have himself a night, like last night. You had Carrington coming off the bench, former Minnesota kid, getting booed in front of his former crowd every time he touched the ball. What does he do? He responds by going 7 of 12 from 3 and scoring 21 points in 27 minutes. It feels like, and then you go back to Michigan. Yeah, John Blackwell led the team in scoring again. He had Nick Boyd doing his 22 points. But then, Carrington, 12 points off the bench, but you get 17 points from Malekas. I can never say his name. I apologize. Number 32. You know who I'm talking about. He goes 5 of 10 from 3. So this is going to be Wisconsin, led by their two guards, Nolan Winter, and then who's that fourth guy that's going to have the night, have his day, have his game? That's kind of been what Wisconsin's MO has been. All right. Just seeing this. If the Giants and Harbaugh truly want each other, they could hire him today, as the Giants have complied with all the rules necessary to make a coaching hire. This is from Jordan Schultz. Other teams wait patiently. Yeah, I do wonder if we're going to get our first hire today. I think if you got your guy in the building and that's the guy that you want, yeah, you probably you don't let him leave. You don't let him leave. So, what else just kind of scrolling through here. Oh, Anthony Campanelli. We already mentioned, Anthony Campanelli's name. We mentioned him earlier on. He's getting a head coaching interview, it looks like, here too. So, with the Dolphins. So, yeah, still kind of a waiting game. I know Schefter was on this morning with Gabe, Chewy, and Jen. Radio morning show down in Milwaukee. And I thought it was an interesting question from Jen Latta, who said, essentially, how is Matt LaFleur viewed league-wide? Not from Packers fans who may be biased, but from the league. And Schefter said, I know people in Green Bay may argue with this idea, but I had some very respected people say, quote, they were befuddled as to what's going on in Green Bay. Matt LaFleur is a top 5 coach in the NFL, end quote. But I know there's going to be fans that disagree with that. I know there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with that. I'm just repeating what Adam Schefter said, that his people across the league, how they view Matt LaFleur. And it is possible, it is completely possible that maybe Green Bay trades him. I was reading a little bit here too. This was from CBS Sports during the break, from John Jones, that said, one of an NFC executive, again, kind of saying something similar, that Matt LaFleur is one of the better coaches in the entire league, and it would be idiotic for Green Bay to fire him. Instead of, if they wanted to move on from him, they should trade him and try to get some draft capital back. They're not going to sign him to an extension and then trade him, because his low contract number right now probably, kind of helps out the cause there. But the team that would trade for Matt LaFleur would take on his contract as it currently stands at this point. And, Green Bay, remember, they've gotten experience with that. They got a draft pick from Seattle in the Mike Holmgren trade back in the day. So, I guess that is an option at this point. But I still feel like right now, I know it's Wednesday, And I've had to kind of tell myself that too. But, you hear the news on Saturday that Ian Rappaport said that they're going to have an extension regardless of the outcome of the game. Schefter kind of followed that up on Monday. Tom Pelissero followed that up on Monday, said they were going to work on an extension. That was just a couple days ago. We haven't heard anything. So I still feel like eventually we're going to get to that point that we're going to get an extension done for Matt LaFleur. And I know it's going to piss off a lot of people. Others, they'll be okay with it. Others, they'll be happy about it. It's not going to make everybody happy, whatever decision they may come to at this point. All right, we'll take our final break and wrap it up with some picks. We've got hoops, we've got hockey, all that good stuff. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. All right, let's wrap this craziness up with some picks here this morning. We'll start off in the college basketball world. Don't forget, Blue Gold's also going to be taking on River Falls, both the men's and women's team. Women's team is going to be at home at the Sonoteg Center. The men's team will be on the road. Stouts, they're going to be taking on Stevens Point. Women's team will be on the road. Men's team will be at home. But for Division I, for some games here, we've got Iowa at Purdue. I'm going to go with Purdue for that game. We also have, we got a laundry list of games, but trying to find out some decent matchups here. Let's go Kentucky at LSU. I'll go Kentucky. We've got Illinois at Northwestern. Yeah, give me Illinois. Vandy, number 10, at Texas. I'll go Vandy. UCLA at Penn State. I'll go UCLA. We've got South Carolina at Arkansas. Give me Arkansas. Nevada at Utah State. Jordan Love University. Utah State ranked 23rd right now. I'll go Utah State. Arizona State at Arizona. Michigan at Washington. Give me Michigan. Duke at Cal. That's still weird. ACC game. Duke. TCU at BYU. I'll go BYU for that one. Let's do NHL games for tonight. Just a couple of them. My Kraken visiting the New Jersey Devils. Got to go Kraken. Philadelphia at Buffalo. I'm going to go Buffalo. Ottawa, New York Rangers. I will go Ottawa. Vegas taking on the Kings. I'll go Vegas. How about the NBA schedule? Not a ton of games, just a handful of them. Toronto at Indiana. I'll go Toronto. Cleveland at Philly. I'm going to go with Philly. That should be a decent one. Utah at Chicago. Chicago. Although, Bucks, if you want to get in there, you need Chicago to lose. Brooklyn at New Orleans. I will go with Brooklyn. Denver at Dallas. Denver's playing good without some of their guys, so I'm going to go with Denver in this one. We've got the Knicks taking on the Kings. I'm going to go with the New York Knicks. Washington at the Clippers. Give me the Clippers for that game. So, all right, those are your picks for this morning. Let's update the news. Nope, nothing new. I keep refreshing. I don't tweet that much anymore. I don't try, that sort of stuff. I try to stay off Twitter, but this time of year now, I'm like refreshing because that's the quickest way to get some updates and more rumors and such flowing here. I haven't seen anything yet about when Goody's season-ending presser is scheduled yet, though. I haven't seen anything like that. So, Ian Rappaport just said a few minutes ago, in the hours after Mike Tomlin told the Steelers he was stepping down, teams have contacted Tomlin to express their interests. Pittsburgh has rights in draft compensation would be necessary. That said, teams were told Tomlin does not plan to coach next year. So, again, a la Sean Payton-esque with taking a year off from New Orleans and then getting the job with Denver and that. So, it'll be interesting to see if Tomlin does come back. If he does go on TV, which is kind of the prevailing thought, is that he's going to go into TV, going to go into broadcasting. Does he stay? Because that was kind of the thought about Bill Cowher back in the day, too. He was going to take a little bit of a break, go into TV, and then jump back into it. Like the Giants were always rumored with him and such. And he had opportunities, but elected to stay in TV. So we'll see. That's always the plan initially, but maybe a comfy gig. Sitting on the desk, if it's like at Fox with Gronk and TB and Howie or whatever it may be. Maybe I don't know if like Matt Ryan's going to continue to do what he's doing. Maybe because AFC-wise goes to CBS. Who knows? But, if you're a TV network and you've got football games on your schedule and that, I think there'd be a little bit of a bidding war for the services of Mike Tomlin, even if it's just for a year. I think he'd do fine. I think he'd do decent at it. You get a guy that's coached for 19 straight years, has won a lot of games, has never had a losing record. Obviously, he knows a little bit about something. And watching some of his pressers and that, he's entertaining at times. So I can definitely see why a lot of networks would want to try to bring him in. So No. Yeah, okay. No, it's the one thing, too, with Twitter, and be careful with the rumors and rumblings and stuff out there, too. It's fake account season again. So, all right, coming up tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday, which is a takeover Thursday, where we kind of put the program into your hands, where you, the listeners, can act like a producer. So this is your homework assignment. Think about what topics you'd like to talk about. You got a topic on hand? All right, it's a Thursday takeover, so think about that and then let us know tomorrow what's on your mind. Throw it out to the rest of the armchair MVPs. Also tomorrow, I threw this out yesterday for a homework assignment, but give me in order your top 10 moves you would make outside of a head coach, moves that you would make for this Packers offseason. That can be releasing a player. That could be bringing in a different position coach or a coordinator and rank them. Okay, and rank them. So I've got my 10. I worked on that yesterday, but saving it for tomorrow unless something big time breaks between, right now and tomorrow that we're going to spend a boatload talking about tomorrow. I think you know what maybe I'm referring to. So, but think about that a little bit. You don't have to do 10 if you don't want. If you only want to do a few or maybe a couple, that's fine. I'll allow it. But I got my list of 10. And again, I ranked them in terms of priority. Where number 1, this is the main thing they got to do. Again, not counting head coach. So it's kind of like your off-season checklist, your off-season to-do list. Maybe it's releasing Rashawn Gary to create some cap space. Maybe it's hiring Mike McDaniel as offensive coordinator and calling plays. Putting you in charge in this thing. What do you think is the most important? Well, for a lot of you on that post-glass and mirror 715 Speaks poll question that we had a few days ago, over 60% of you said special teams coordinator. So that would probably be number 1 on your to-do list. Find a different special teams coordinator. Revamp special teams outside of Daniel Whelan. So you could be as specific or not as specific if you want in that. So we'll hit that up along with Takeover Thursday. We'll catch up with Jake Bilks coming up tomorrow too. So again, if you have any ice fishing, hunting, outdoor related questions, please text those on over 715-830-1912 so we can get those to Jake as soon as possible. But no such thing as a stupid question when it comes to chatting up with Jake and Ed. He wants to help answer those questions. So send those on over if you have any, and you can do that whenever. You can text them whenever, okay? When I'm back in here in the morning, I'll send those on over to Jacob. So we'll get to that. We'll talk some. We'll continue our kind of Packers off-season self-scouting, type of thing. We've talked about special teams. Today we talked about offensive coordinator, which was a part of our Whiteboard Wednesday. So if you missed that, you can go back and check it out on the YouTube video stream. So we'll probably continue that with another area position, that sort of stuff tomorrow too. So Bucks-wise, if you're wondering when are they going to be back on the court, maybe you don't. They will be back on the court tomorrow, hitting the road again. And they're going to be going up against the Spurs. So, yeah, good times right now being a Bucks fan. Great times. It's kind of a weird travel thing, too. And I know Doc is talking about dead legs, and Giannis wasn't using that as an excuse last night, but the West Coast trip, then you got to come back to Milwaukee, your own building for a quick game. Then you got to go down south. Take on the Spurs tomorrow. Get some time off. Got the Hawks on Monday. But then coming back home, who's waiting for you? Thunder and Nuggets. Great. Awesome. How many wins are in that stretch? 1? Jeez. And again, that's what makes last night's game, I think, so frustrating, too. It was an opportunity against the Wolves with no Anthony Edwards and no Rudy Gobert. And I get it. That the Timberwolves shot ridiculous from the field, 50% from 3, 60% overall, but crying out loud. Is it straight up just bad breaks and bad luck or more to it? I think there's more to it. And Giannis thinks it's efforts and not playing selfless basketball. It's getting worse. It's getting worse in Milwaukee. All right, shot clock's going to cut me off. Oh, we got playing on Twitter. We've got people tracking airplanes and such when it comes to Harbaugh right now. Okay, I get it. We're at that time of year, people. Plane tracking. Wait till free agents and stuff too. That'll really pick it up there. But yeah, this is the big one. You got planes traveling and people tracking them, seeing where they go and trying to connect dots of coaches and that sort of thing too. So. All right, shot clock's going to cut me off. Have a good rest of your Wednesday. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning for a Takeover Thursday. Send me those topic ideas. Send me those segment ideas. We'll hit them up if they're good ones, okay? Which they probably are. We'll hit them up. All right, have a good rest of your day. Talk to you tomorrow.